following is a presentation of the Big Ten Conference.
Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Taco Bell. A black and gold frenzy of fans at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa for the opener of the 2024 season. Ranked 25th in the nation, the Iowa Hawkeyes play host to Illinois State for the Missouri Valley Football Conference. This is how they get hype here in Iowa City. They've been doing it for over 40 years. They take the field to back in black with the Swarm. Seth Wallace will be the acting head coach today. Kirk Ferentz, a one-game suspension. And so Seth Wallace will be on the sidelines for Iowa and Illinois State coming up next.
The only thing certain in life is change. Change is a drummer who never loses the beat. Always playing in time. Throughout time. For years, Big Ten football filled stadiums and set records on TV. Winning the hearts of Middle America and championships along the way. Today, the Big Ten hits the airwaves in full stereo. A conference that spans from the Atlantic to the Pacific. A louder, faster beat. Backed by an 18-team orchestra. Ready to launch a hard-hitting symphony. Welcome to a new day. Welcome to the new Big Ten.
Well, we have had the appetizers last weekend, Thursday night, Friday night, but now it is time for the whole meal, the whole shebang. It is a full Saturday of college football here in the Big Ten, and we bring it to you live from Kinnick Stadium to start today. 25th ranked Iowa playing Illinois State. I'm Mark Followill, joined by Anthony Herron. Anthony, I know how exciting it is for you to be back here at Iowa, but this is not an ordinary day. A one-game university-imposed suspension for head coach Kirk Ferentz. He won't be on the sideline for a game for the first time since 1998. Seth Wallace is the acting head coach. The beat goes on, but it's going to be weird today.
It's a little awkward, no doubt about that. The entire football program, the athletic department as a whole, for 26 seasons now has benefited from the presence of Kirk Ferentz. He won't be here for today's game, but he led all the preparations up until last night. Business as usual starting tomorrow, but this is the first time in eons that Kirk Ferentz won't take the field with the Hawks.
Yeah, it is a truism in sports, what I said a moment ago. The beat goes on, and that means the team takes the field today. There are changes in this Iowa coaching staff, with Tim Lester making his debut today as offensive coordinator, and that is going to be very exciting to see what his philosophy he implements will be today.
One of the most anticipated coaching hires throughout the entire college football offseason was bringing Tim Lester to the University of Iowa. When you factor in the way Iowa's offense had struggled over the last couple of seasons with the immense success they had on defense and special teams. If Tim Lester can turn this Iowa offense into something far more formidable than they've been in recent years, you're talking about a team with a chance at a Big Ten title. The health of that man right there is a big factor in that as well, though. Cade McNamara got through the first 5 games of the season and then got injured in that 5th game. He was injured all last offseason. He's been banged up this offseason as well. But if Cade McNamara gets back to that Big Ten championship form he had with the Michigan Wolverines, this is a team that will have to be reckoned with.
There are 3 constants in life: death, taxes, and the fact that the Iowa Hawkeyes always play suffocating defensive football. That's not going to change. They do it collectively, but that doesn't mean that there aren't important individuals to that scheme?
They've got 2 All-Americans who returned from last season at multiple levels of this Phil Parker defense. At the second level, the nation's leading returning tackler is Jay Higgins. And you want your linebackers to kind of be football nerds who also play like bullies, and Jay Higgins combines both of those elements. He can diagnose whether or not you're going to throw the pass out into the flat, make a one-on-one tackle like we saw him do against the Northwestern Wildcats, and here sort of baiting the running back, the ball carrier, into bouncing it outside, and then the impact he tackles with. And you can't talk impact on this Iowa defense if you don't talk Sebastian Castro. Another candidate, in my opinion, for Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Is he a slot defender? The answer to all those questions is yes, and he does them all in a bad mood.
Yeah, the thing he is Sebastian Castro based on that position that he plays. Now down to the field, also an important position today. Of course, our sideline reporter is Melanie Ricks. Hi, Melanie.
Thanks so much, Mark. Yeah, it's a big day today. For the first time in 26 seasons, no Kirk Ferentz, as you mentioned, but we talked to him yesterday just to ask him, so where are you going to be watching the game? He said, my wife, Mary, and I, we decided to watch the game at home. Mary was asking me, like, can I ask you questions during the game? And he said, I don't know. This is brand new territory. It's like going to the moon. I've never been there before, but he did say it's not about him today. It's about his team. And, of course, he's going to have his assistant head coach, Seth Wallace, taking over today. He's going to be serving as the acting head coach, and Seth Wallace said the same thing. It's not about him. It's about the team and making sure they start this Iowa football season off the right way.
Seth Wallace is from Grinnell, Iowa, and he has so many connections, not just to the state, but to this program. 45 years old, and Seth Wallace has been a GA and has been the assistant defensive coordinator for the last 7 years at GA. Before that, there's Brock Spack, the winningest head coach in Illinois State program history, and he's got Big Ten ties. He played as a linebacker at Purdue in the early 80s. Iowa recruited him hard with Hayden Fry, and Brock Spack was the defensive coordinator at Purdue before he became the head coach at Illinois State, where he's won 101 games. Let's take in the scene. We are almost ready for the kickoff. Drew Stevens with the kickoff, and will Illinois State have a chance to return? They will not. The ball flies over the head of Jalen Carr. And so it is Illinois State taking the field. The Redbirds went 6-5 last year, and they will play 2 quarterbacks. We found out who the starter will be less than an hour before game time. The starter is junior from Geneva, Illinois, and he's been in the program for 2 years and played 8 games. And that is Tommy Rittenhouse.
A multi-dimensional talent as a quarterback, very mobile, and against this Iowa defense, there will be moments where you're forced to extend the play as their coverage can be so suffocating on the back end.
Well, they're going empty. They've motioned running back Mason King out of the backfield. Good pocket, quick throw, incomplete pass, looking off to the left side. TJ Hall in the coverage. And we look at the rest of the starting offense for the Illinois State Redbirds.
An experienced group, won 6 games last year. Formidable up front on the offensive line, especially via the corner.
And here's the keeper, Rittenhouse in trouble, escapes 1 tackle, forced out of bounds by Jay Higgins. So after the touchback, this drive started at the 25, and they've gained 1 yard in 2 plays, an incomplete pass and a scramble. And Iowa's defense rising to the occasion. Here's the starting 11.
No surprise there. The most experienced group in returning production in the Big Ten Conference. I highlighted a couple of those guys at the 2nd and 3rd level, but don't sleep on this defensive front, especially on 3rd and long.
And 3rd and 9 is the down. They have 8 starters officially back on that defense. And a pass! And Nick Jackson got a little fingertip on it, perhaps. It was intended for Daniel Sobkowitz for Illinois State. It's 1 yard and 3 and out for the Redbirds.
You tend to see twist stunts up front. You get an advantage point from the quarterback's eyes on the opposing side, but as all those opposite colored jerseys flash in front of his face, he knows he's got to get rid of the football. Rittenhouse throwing into that Iowa zone coverage, had nowhere to go.
Well, in the past, Ian Wagner has not only handled place kicks, but also punts. but they have taken the punting off of his plate. And a redshirt freshman, Hayden Futch from Valdosta, Georgia, with his first collegiate punt. That won't be a very memorable one. However, Caden Weechen won't have a chance to return it. It isn't pretty, it is effective. It rolls down to the Iowa 35-yard line. And that's where the Hawkeyes will start on their first possession of 2024 after a 39-yard punt. Tim Lester, former head coach at Western Michigan, assistant with the Green Bay Packers last year, and he leads this offense with Cade McNamara at quarterback.
We know the Hawkeyes want to run the football, and all the experience they have returning up front on the offensive line, that provides additional comfort to the way Cade McNamara will be able to approach the game today.
First Iowa snap of the game. And they're running it behind Kamari Moulton to the right side. Moulton is starting today at running back. And Moulton is part of the remainder of that starting offense now for the Hawkeyes. We just saw Cade McNamara, and here are the skill positions.
And they're really deep. They're deep at tight end. They're deep at running back. They are experienced on the offensive line. So you get a new OC coming in Tim Lester, the more quickly he can get this entire offense ingratiated with his system, this should lead to new heights.
Got a lot of experience on that line. Mason Richmond, 39, starts at left tackle. Colby, 36, starts at right guard. They're trying to establish this running game, but Illinois State, their defense stiffens there on second down, bringing up a third down and 6. And that tackle was made by one of the linebackers, Lavois Deontay McCoy. Here's their front three.
Different challenge that Illinois State will present to Iowa's offense with that odd front. And they've got a lot of playmaking linebackers at the second level. Secondary on the back end has some NFL prospects in it as well.
A third down and 6. LeSean Johnson has come into the game. He's in the backfield. Weegen's in motion. Illinois State sends pressure, and an incomplete pass for Luke Lachey. There's some murmurs that there should have been a flag. However, there's not one on C.J. Hodgson, the safety.
As Luke Lachey came out of that break, yes, there was a little bit of impact. There was some collision. Judgment call from the officials. The good thing is Iowa fans are evaluating that first series of Cade McNamara in a QB. He knew exactly where to go with the football. Used a little sidearm to try to feed it in there.
Well, from Melbourne, Australia, it's the debut, Anthony, of Reese Dakin at punter.
I cannot imagine there be another punter in college football as eagerly anticipated as this.
And this will bounce out of bounds at the 25-yard line, just outside the 25. And we'll see Iowa's defense on the field when we return. They just forced a 3-and-out led by Mike linebacker Jay Higgins. Today's Impact Players are sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense, and one on the Iowa defense and offense, same for Illinois State. Anthony.
Having Logan Jones at center is a big deal for the Iowa offense. He's turned into one of the best in the business, as has Y.A. Black. Been a 3-year starter for the Hawkeyes. Mason King used to go by Mason Blakemore, so college football fans would know him by that name. One of the top young linebackers at the FCS level is Ty Niekamp.
And both of them had Missouri Valley Football Conference honors last year. He was Mason Blakemore last year, now Mason King. Rittenhouse, he started at quarterback under pressure, and Aaron Graves got him down low, brought him down for a sack. It's a loss of 3 yards on Iowa's first sack this year. They had 33 last season.
That's one of the underrated parts about how exceptional Iowa's defense was last season. The pressure from the front four took a little bit of a step back. But Aaron Graves here getting into that outside shoulder and the continued pass rush mechanics turning the corner.
Junior from Dayton, Iowa had 2.5 sacks last year, and nowhere to go for Mason King. Y.A. Black among those who wrap up Mason King after a very short gain.
We spoke to Tony Peterson, the offensive coordinator for the Redbirds. One thing he said is just not being behind the chains against this Iowa defense would be so key.
Now, this is not good for the Illinois State Redbirds. 3 minutes into the game, their talisman, when you look at the running back position, Mason King, transfer from Northern Illinois, and as we noted a little bit ago, ran for nearly 1,000 yards last year. He's down on the field hurt early here at Kinnick Stadium. The offensive coordinator at Illinois State, Tony Peterson, he's coached in the Big Ten at Minnesota and Illinois, and he said that Mason King could have played for him at those two places in the Big Ten. Very talented running back. And Here he is getting his right leg rolled up on in that previous play. Limped off the field, no pressure on his right leg, but a completed pass to Daniel Sobkowitz. First down of the game, and Sobkowitz in his third year at Illinois State, now with 100 career receptions as of that grab up to the 40.
They've been really, really impressed with the offseason what Daniel Sobkowitz has put together. Family lineage, playing at the collegiate level, plays the X position for the Redbirds.
68 grabs, 933 yards last year, all-conference player. Here's a rollout and a pass to the tight end, and another first down here for Illinois State. Mitch Bartle, a transfer from Western Michigan. Mitch Bartle did not catch a pass in his time playing at Western Michigan, primarily on special teams. Let's see if his first collegiate reception is going to stand. It was good for a first down. However,
ineligible
at this point,
downfield
Mike
on the forward
Blazinski
pass.
and crew.
Offense number 68, 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Today, the first snaps in college at right guard for Landon Woodard on the penalty.
The action went to the wide side of the field, but as an offensive lineman, you have to be aware of that on one of these RPO looks. It's a good look at it we have there with Woodard. Too far downfield. They'll give you a few yards as a cushion.
Pushed outside of that little 3-yard bubble. Here's a keeper, and Bartle with a block and a run by Rittenhouse. He certainly can move the ball well with the ground game, and he runs up to the 44-yard line. If you're looking for the Purdue-Indiana State game, go to btn.com/gamefinder right now to see where you can find the game in your area. We will see Jake Rubley at quarterback at some point in time, but Rittenhouse now has the Redbirds moving a little bit. Quick pass and caught and out of bounds along the sideline. Transfer from Kansas State, Xavier Lloyd with his first catch at Illinois State.
It's interesting how just that first down that the opponent picks up, it does loosen the coverage just a bit, and then Rittenhouse showcasing some of his mobility. So there's a little bit more hesitation in the Iowa defense as they react when the ball leaves his hands.
In 3 years for Kansas State, only one reception for the wide receiver Xavier Lloyd, who's now transferred to Illinois State. Winkers right with a run to the Iowa 46 for a gain of 3 on first down.
It's a technically sound Iowa defensive front. Jay Higgins, take a listen as he comes in. Big collision finishing that play off. Deontay Craig fought off that block well.
Now on 2nd and 7, the ball's out quickly, and the ball's in the hands of Iowa. Interception, Jamari Harris. 6 career interceptions. What do you know? A turnover forced by the Hawkeye defense.
I see Jamari Harris as the most gifted one-on-one cover corner that these Iowa Hawkeyes have. I referenced how the coverage loosened up a little bit on the previous plays. Jamari Harris tightened it up, snatching the ball away for the Hawks. a second. Yep, I like it. You want Mark to set me up first then on this, or you want me to just take it out break?
Well, Phil Parker and the Iowa defense, the most interceptions in FBS since 2009. They just added another one, Jamari Harris, the 6th of his career. And we'll look at it after this, but maybe a deep shot. No, a check down throw. McNamara to Kamari Moulton and drops. So 2nd and 10 coming up. Jamari Harris, here's his pick.
That's what you get from the Iowa defense. A quarters coverage look. He's got eyes in the backfield the entire time. The reason he drove on the route, let's get a quick freeze. Rittenhouse beginning his throwing motion, and as soon as Jamari Harris sees that, he knows he's got the opportunity to react to that hitch route that was run. And not only do these Iowa defensive backs break on passes, they can take it away with outstanding ball skills.
235 interceptions since 2009. Now Moulton. Moulton really runs that mid-zone stretch well. And talking with Tim Lester, the new offensive coordinator. So that's part of the reason that he's starting today at running back, Anthony.
And to be able to do that in a backfield this deep with experience in front of him, I mean, LeSean Williams was banged up throughout training camp, so that's part of the reason where he's not out there early today. But back, a playmaker like Caleb Johnson, we expect to see him in the rotation today. But everyone has been extremely impressed with Kamari Moulton.
Moulton last year, it was a redshirt year, even though he did play a little bit. 93 yards rushing last year. And a long look. Jacob Gill was in motion. And the pass to Addison Estrenga. It's a catch, and it's just past midfield. Illinois State's indicating that it should be incomplete. But the ball is at the 50-yard line.
And either way, Iowa's made the decision. Seth Wallace has made the decision that he will punt the football away. Estrenga has very sure hands. That's an impressive grab with the defender draped all over him. From this field position, 4th and medium, right at midfield, I wouldn't be surprised if Seth Wallace considered going for this 4th, but I think this is the right call.
And there's the punt, restaken. And a fair catch is made at the 10-yard line. Marker is down as the fair catch was made. There's been one penalty in the game so far. That was on Illinois State that negated a first down catch. Mark Plazinski. Indication of false start against the Hawkeyes. 10 wins last year. 25th in the nation going into this season. The 8th 10-plus win
Kicking
season.
team player went out of bounds on his own and returned during the kick. Kicking team number 7. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
It will improve the field position a little bit for Illinois State. You can experience the expanded Big Ten Conference like never before with Big Ten Plus. Stream thousands of non-televised live events across the Big Ten. Plus, enjoy next-day game replays for every Big Ten game. Subscribe right now at BigTenPlus.com. So officially the 17 is where the Redbirds will start. This is one of the best offenses in FCS last year. Anthony, 10th in yardage, 434 a game, 12th in points in FCS, about 33 a game.
We did anticipate seeing a different QB in. Jake Rubley checked into the lineup for the Redbirds.
So 2 series, one of a little bit of effectiveness for Tommy Rittenhouse. And now here's Jake Rubley, and nowhere to go on that first running play. They do end up picking up 3. So Rubley is originally, or high school that is, in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, but has connections to Iowa. Was born here, played 3 years at Kansas State, but not a lot of action.
A well-known commodity on the recruiting circuit, thought of as being a talent with a really big arm. Just hasn't had time to learn Tony Peterson's system as well yet.
Winkers right, with Mason King getting hurt earlier in the game. And Wright with the run up to the 26-yard line, shy of a first down, but a very manageable 3rd and 1 coming up. And add another tackle to Jay Higgins' total, which of course we expect to balloon into big numbers this year again.
Nice gain on that inside zone look. So now 3rd and short opens up the playbook for Illinois State.
Tony Peterson again, their offensive coordinator. And to the left side, Castro rips the ball out. It was a first down picked up by Winkers Wright, but Castro dislodged it. He created the turnover. Ultimately, it's recovered by TJ Hall. Three drives for Illinois State, 1 3-and-out and 2 turnovers. First an interception by one corner, then a recovered fumble by another.
Quintessential Iowa Hawkeye execution, multiple black shirts around the football, stacking up the ball carrier, and then from there, you see that swarm from the Hawkeye defense at the 2nd and 3rd level coming to strip the football away.
Sebastian Castro had so many big things happen last year. 8 TFLs, 8 PBUs, 3 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and that forced fumble is ultimately recovered by TJ Hall, the junior from Fresno, California, an injury-shortened 6-game campaign in 2023. LeSean Johnson is in at running back. Lachey at tight end, and a fake handoff and a throw in the direction of Lachey. It's incomplete at the goal line. Lavois Deontay McCoy with the PBU.
This ball underthrown by Cade McNamara. Off the play action, he had Lachey declare open. He'd gotten behind the secondary. The trajectory of this football for Cade McNamara, it almost looked like he's sort of guiding the football in. Well protected, had exactly the look he was hoping for. Just got to groove that one in there. Touchdown missed.
Now McCoy, who was part of breaking up that pass, showing some blitz. This is LeSean Johnson, and in case of friendly fire, ran into one of his own players, ran into Bo Stevens, the left guard. That did as much to disrupt the play as anything, him running into Stevens.
It's interesting talking to the Iowa staff just about the offseason that Cade McNamara has had so far, because it was the 2nd offseason where he's in the midst of recovering from an injury. 3rd offseason consecutively when you go back to his final season at the University of Michigan. So it's just been year after year of not having that full ramp up toward regular season action. So there's still been, even over this offseason, some fits and starts and him really getting into rhythm.
Tim Lester told us yesterday he's starting to look like himself a little more in the last week and a half after being skittish anytime that there was contact near his knee, players near his knee during fall camp. Pass to the right side is caught. Jalen Gaines with a tackle off the catch by LeSean Williams. He did catch it 12 times last year. His first this year. All right, Anthony, 4th down and 4.
I think this makes sense. Take the opportunity to put points on the board. You trust your battery of snapper, holder, place kicker. Defense gave you the ball in striking territory. Yes, a touchdown would have been nice to take this opportunity for 3.
So it's Drew Stevens on a 41-yard attempt. Ty Nissen is the holder. And the kick is on the way for Stevens. Outside of 40 yards, he struggled last year, but he doesn't struggle on this kick. Nails the 41-yarder for the first points of the game. Hawkeyes in front by 3. Football on the Big Ten Network is brought to you by Taco Bell. 41-yard field goal by Drew Stevens, first points of the game. He was 14 of 16 last year from 40 yards in, but 4 of 10 outside of 40 yards. But they've got something to celebrate here in Iowa City with the 41-yarder made by Stevens. He'd had a great year 2 seasons ago. Went 16 of 18 on field goals then, and he's off to a good start this year.
It's no better friend to a quarterback trying to find rhythm than excellent offensive line play and a fantastic defense. Cade McNamara should have access to each of those this season.
And a big leg by Drew Stevens puts it through the back of the end zone. Illinois State's 4th possession on offense. Remember that the acting head coach today, with the university imposed 1-game suspension for Kirk Ferentz, who we did talk to yesterday, but Seth Wallace is the acting head coach. He's been at Iowa first as a GA 06 to 08, then back with Iowa since 2014. He said the biggest thing is not letting this become something it shouldn't be. It's about handling the logistics and emotion of the game in a similar way to Coach Ferentz and how he has for 26 years. He said, you just don't want to disrupt the players. Make it business as usual. He's from Iowa, from Grinnell, Iowa. Back, it's Rubley for his 2nd straight series, and an off-target throw for Xavier Lloyd. So most career wins at Big Ten schools all time. How about the first 2? Woody Hayes and Amos Alonzo Stagg from the University of Chicago in the case of the latter. And then Kirk Ferentz late last year passed Bo Schembechler. This win, if there is one today, would go on his total, of course. Again to Lloyd, and again incomplete on the pass by Rubley.
When you're stepping in for one of the all-time greats in college football history, it can be daunting, especially if that individual is still your current boss. So I do find the scenario that Seth Wallace is in to be a little bit awkward, because this is a big chance for him, a program he's, of course, very, very passionate about, while at the same time, Kirk Ferentz is going to be back on the job tomorrow.
And he said, I'm not happy about it. It won't be easy, but our staff will do a great job, and our players have great veteran leadership, and I told them the players are the one who decide the game on Saturday. And the crowd helps too, and they're in full voice right now on 3rd and long, and it's broken up. Nicely done by Kyler Fisher. 3 straight incompletions on Rubley's 2nd series at quarterback.
Fantastic coverage by Fisher. Fisher really more of a linebacker. He's playing the cash position in a similar fashion to what Sebastian Castro would do. But in this sub-package, he can play like a linebacker in certain situations, like a defensive back, getting into that speed turn, opens his hips, plays the ball through the eyes of the potential pass catcher.
And that pass catcher was Javon Charles from DeSoto, Texas at tight end. And now Caden Weegan, something special may happen here with all of this room to run. Caden Weegan, he is picking him up and putting him down. Touchdown, Caden Weegan. The unfortunate news, there's a flag down back at the 41-yard line of Iowa in the vicinity of where the electrifying return for Caden Weegan started.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Receiving team number 8. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down, Iowa.
Oh boy, oh boy. Tough break for the Hawkeyes. That was something really special we just saw out of Weegan. Deshaun Lee with the block.
And Deshaun Lee, you could tell he was actually trying to evade placing the block into the back of the member of Illinois State's coverage. He had a teammate who sort of blocked, legally blocked, the Illinois State coverage player into the path of Deshaun Lee. So against his own will, he ends up hitting that player in the back, and it takes 6 off the board for the Hawkeyes.
And 6 in really exciting fashion. This now moves the ball back to the 31-yard line. With the illegal block in the back negating a punt return for a touchdown by Caden Weegan. Miller, E.B. Miller is in the game at fullback. Oh, tough run here. Well done. This is up to the 39-yard line on the run by Kamari Moulton. That is a mid-zone stretch run right there.
I like the way that looks because Moulton finished that run with some impact. He lowered his shoulder at the end here. And then when that defender met him, the defender went backwards. You love to see a young football player, freshman in the lineup, less than 200 pounds. But he had some thump with that one.
That's what Tim Lester wants to see. 45-degree angle run through the C gap going downhill. Jacob Gill in motion. Nice play defensively. The run by Moulton. Amir Abdullah with 14 TFLs last year makes a play there. There's some numbers on Kamari Moulton as it relates to putting on some weight.
The strength and conditioning program for Iowa has certainly been the stuff of legend for decades at this point. When you're a freshman, you join up with major college football, you get on a different diet, you get on strength and conditioning in a way that develops and matures your body. Kamari Moulton, a good example of that for Iowa.
Going empty. Don't expect to see this happen too much this year for Tim Lester's offense, but a little wrinkle and a completion and a first down. Luke Lachey up to the 45-yard line on third down, a conversion.
The timing of this is really important because Lachey gets some separation from the defender, but as long as the ball comes out in rhythm, you shouldn't need a lot of separation to hit this quick out route. He's got very dependable hands. Cade McNamara to hit that back step and get the ball out in rhythm, that's how it should look on third.
10 catches last year for Lachey before being injured in the Western Michigan game. A right ankle injury kept him out the rest of the year. Now they give the ball to LeSean Johnson, and Johnson is hit hard by Jake Anderson, among others, at the line of scrimmage. So we see some highlights from Cade McNamara early in the game.
Highlights, midlights. It's been a bit uneven here early for Cade McNamara. You see him surveying the field, trying to get it out. Hasn't all been his fault. A couple of drops by teammates. But when the opportunity is there, you got to hit on this one. He had a chance to step into this pass, it appeared to me, and then underthrows it because he's falling back as he delivers the football.
LeSean Williams still in the backfield. And they fake it to him. Roll and throw behind Reese Vanderzee, freshman wide receiver who has looked so good at fall camp that he is starting today.
Vanderzee has really shot up the depth chart, and part of that also, Iowa a bit thin at wide receiver today. But as McNamara, you can see the eyes. He's looking over the outside at first, and then fires his eyes back over the inside of the field. And as he's on the move, he's capable of making that pass, try to get it in front of the converging defender that was there, ended up behind Vanderzee.
Central Lyon High School in Rock Rapids, Iowa, way up northwest. McNamara, he's under pressure, going off the back foot, throwing away. Jalen Gaines, the jack, in that 3-4 look defensively for the Redbirds with the pressure.
Cade McNamara ends up running himself into pressure here. And initially, there aren't any receivers that immediately declare themselves as open. But one of the moments from the open scrimmage that Iowa fans were paying close attention to a couple of weeks ago that took place here at Kinnick, there was a moment where Cade McNamara took off and ran the football. That was the first indication. Kirk Ferentz told us this yesterday that as a coaching staff, they could tell he was beginning to get more comfortable in recovery from that ACL injury. To me, that's a chance for Cade McNamara. Tuck the football, pick up some yardage, maybe you move the sticks with your legs.
Second punt for Reese Dakin. Braden Contreras is back, but won't have a chance. 2:10 left in the first quarter. Iowa in front, 3-0.
Maybe second quarter.
2:10 left in the first quarter. As Iowa 17-1 in non-conference games since 2017, 23-2 since 2015. And this is a game against Illinois State, an opponent they played one time before, beat him in 2015 at 31-14.
Roxback told us his team would not be intimidated by the atmosphere at Kinnick. So his players, his Redbirds, were eager to experience it.
Well, now back in the game, Tommy Rittenhouse, and Rittenhouse keeps it, takes the handoff, and runs the ball up to the 29-yard line. So 2 series of Rittenhouse, 2 series of Rubley at quarterback, now back to Rittenhouse.
And you would imagine at some point they'll stick with the hot hand if one of their quarterbacks can heat up against this Iowa defense. But it is a true change of pace because Rubley, more of the traditional pocket passer. Rittenhouse provides more mobility from the position.
8 games last year, 5 in 2022. He's made 5 total starts in his time with the Redbirds. Now, Mason King went out of the game early with an injury. We've seen Winkers Wright run the ball. That's Seth Glatz, who is a transfer from Western Illinois, where he ran for 329 yards in 2 seasons.
It does throw off your rhythm, especially in the front 7 on defense, when you're accustomed to one quarterback who's a stationary target, then they come back with a change of pace. A guy who's far more mobile.
Now Rittenhouse will show off the arm. Too much arm, trying to find Sobkowitz down the left side. Coverage by TJ Hall, who has recovered a fumble in this game as we wind down towards a minute left of the first quarter.
More variety from Illinois State's offense now being thrown at Iowa defense. At least the chunk play attempted in the passing attack against Iowa's secondary. The hope with that, even with the incompletion, is that you loosen their coverage up a bit.
On second down, and a flag is down, pressure's coming, ball hits the turf on an incomplete pass for Sobkowitz. And let's sort out the penalty. Biggest penalty of the day was the illegal block in the back that negated a Weechen punt return for a touchdown. That was, of course, on the Iowa side. We'll see if this is against the Redbirds.
Been an alignment infraction.
Illegal formation. Offense number 57 was lined up in the backfield. The penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Flag came in from the head linesman. You have to be breaking the plane, the hip of that guard next to you, to make sure you don't have too many bodies in the backfield. There's actually up too much on the line of scrimmage and line of center.
Hunter Zambrano, the most experienced lineman for Illinois State, 23 starts, 2nd team all-conference last year, and with a declined penalty and 3rd down, Iowa slams the door shut on a Seth Glatz run. Ended up losing a yard. Max Llewellyn was part of that along with Brian Allen.
Illinois State not even able to mount enough offense to change the field position in the Iowa offense back at all. So even though their defense has done an exceptional job against Iowa up to this point, the offense needs to aid.
Hayden Futch. You can see Weechen having to shield his eyes from the sun and caught it. 42-yard punt, absorbed a couple of hits. And it's a takeover for Iowa inside their own 30-yard line. Next Saturday, Big Ten Tailgate is live from Penn State's campus to set the scene for a full day of football. The fun starts at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app.
Brendan Sullivan, signed by Iowa to be their additional depth at the quarterback position. The coaching staff have been very impressed with what Sullivan, the former Northwestern Wildcat, has brought to the table. He didn't join up with the Hawkeyes until entering the transfer portal, transferred here during the summer. There's a lot of verbiage to learn in Tim Lester's offense, a lot to figure out, but it does insulate the quarterback position more for Iowa.
1,300 yards passing in 2 seasons with Northwestern. Kamari Moulton runs the ball from the 29 to outside the 31. Keandre Jackson with the tackle. He was their leading tackler last year. And of course, the Kinnick Wave is coming up now, waving to the young children atop the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. One of truly the great traditions in college football. All the fans, all the Iowa players, visiting team players, broadcasters, everyone joins in on this warm and wonderful moment. Celebrating Fansville, sponsored by Dr. Pepper. College football, it's a pepper thing. And you're seeing some sights from last night's Fry Fest pep rally. It is Fry Fest weekend, the opening weekend for Iowa football, honoring the legendary Hayden Fry, coach here at Iowa from 1979 to 1998.
I had the privilege playing my first 2 years here at the University of Iowa for Hayden Fry, his final 2 years leading the Hawkeyes. Then, of course, Kirk Ferentz steps in. My last 2 years playing for Coach Ferentz.
McNamara fakes it to Moulton, and it is a pass on the slant caught, and all the way up to midfield. And the grab is made by Vandersea. That's his first catch with the Hawkeyes.
Look at the lower body. Don't even watch the ball. Look at the lower body of Caden McNamara. Here, he's not falling away from the pass in the way that we saw him doing earlier. We're talking a bit about Reese Vandersea because the coaching staff have been talking about this young playmaker as well. They've been extremely impressed.
So write it down. Reese Vanderzee's first catch for Iowa. He's had a target before, but his first catch, 18 yards. And a first down. And Moulton, it's blocked well on the edge. And Moulton with a burst out of bounds, 37-yard line. It may have been blocked too well on the edge. There is a marker down on the play here early in the second quarter.
Holding. Offense number 5.
Reese Vanderzee.
10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Well, the penalty on another wide receiver, Jacob Gill, but there's Reese Vanderzee, only true freshman on the 2-deep roster for Iowa today.
Tim Lester was talking to us about the toughness of Jacob Gill, his willingness to block. He was sticking his hat in there on the defender, but just had that extra tug as the defender was attempting to disengage.
So this moves the ball back to the 46 of the Hawkeyes. And another marker is down.
False start. Offense number 5. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Well, one of the calling cards for Iowa last year and many years, Anthony, is a low number of penalties. Fifth fewest penalties, fifth fewest penalty yards per game. 3.6 per game for just 31 penalty yards last year.
From Northwestern Wildcat, it's Jacob Gill. A player who's been around the Big Ten Conference for a while, though still early in his time with the Hawkeyes.
16 catches in his 3 years at Northwestern. Now slashing off the left side is Kamari Moulton to gain some of the yardage they've lost with consecutive penalties.
And there'll be so many Iowa fans who will watch Caden McNamara extremely closely, but as much as anything we're seeing through over a quarter right now, the Iowa offensive line, the Iowa run game, they have to take this contest over. They've got to be able to start to impose their will on that front 3 and then the overall front 7 for Illinois State.
Into the game at tight end right now. He's lined up on the left. Zach Ortworth. And you see him go in motion. And Moulton. And a nice hole. And then an ankle tackle by Amir Abdullah prevents that from being any more. Short, about 3 yards of the first down. All right, let's put a little bow on talking about Fry Fest and honoring the legendary Hayden Fry. You see some footage from his time as coach.
Hey.
And how about, hey, look what he's talking to in the booth in
There's my
2009
coach.
on BTN.
The inaugural Fry Fest back in 2009. Hayden came up to the booth with myself and Tom Wormy. We had a grand old time. It was quite a game that day. I don't know if Iowa fans remember that.
And so here, this is the first Iowa football game today, not coached by either Coach Fry or Ferentz since 1978. This is a 3rd down and 3 run, and Iowa is held with just a 1-yard pickup by Kamari Moulton.
Illinois State player down here. Their front 7 defenders.
This is after the Hawkeyes had been held 2 yards short. So a 4th down and 2 is coming up as Illinois State head coach Brock Speck. injured Illinois State defensive lineman Nick Kessler was the player that was down a moment ago. There's Seth Wallace, and now he has a decision. Big Ants, 4th and 2.
Iowa offense going back out onto the field here. You're near the plus 40, 4th and short. I was talking about that Iowa offensive line.
And then off the edge, a play is made. Kamari Moulton, though, second effort. I thought he lunged it inside the 40-yard line, but they're spotting him a little poorly in my estimation, but short of the 40, and it's a hold on 4th down for Illinois State. How about that?
It was a fantastic effort from Moulton, but Illinois State just brought so many defenders, and they timed up the snap so well, getting bodies into the backfield.
Yeah, the body into the backfield here is Dylan Gerhardt at safety. That's the first hit, and then McCoy, Lavois Deontay McCoy.
He was eventually able to fight off that block, continue his path into the backfield, as Kamari Moulton did have a fantastic effort, but it wasn't enough. That knee came down short.
Now hold the phone here. Play has been stopped. And is it possible that this will be reviewed at the new state-of-the-art Big Ten Conference
The ruling on the
Replay
previous
Center
play
in
was the
Rosemont,
runner was
Illinois.
short of the line to gain. The play is under further review.
Well, here we go. So Mark Kluzinski will now communicate with Rosemont. Replay is now centrally reviewed at the Big Ten Replay Center by the in-venue replay officials, state-of-the-art. You know, Bill Carollo, director of the officials before the year, said, you know, part of this, you know, really streamlines the process of the number of people involved in making the decision. And they'll have a decision to make here, which is a difficult one because do you have the angle and an unobstructed view to determine where the runner was officially down? Where's the knee or body part go down relative to where the football is when it occurs, Anthony?
A really impressive contact balance from Kamari Moulton as they piece various angles of this run together, though, with the call on the field being that he was short. And you see even there, as Kamari Moulton's on the ground, he's even laying down short of the 40-yard line, and then there's one additional lunge.
The ruling on the field stands. The runner was short of the line to gain. First down, Illinois State.
Worth a look because the effort was so fantastic, but impressive call by the officials to get that right in live action. That left hip, as it came down, left hip, left thigh, it doesn't have to be the knee. It can be the thigh, it can be the elbow, it can be the hip. Whatever hits the ground first, wherever the football is at that point, is where it's viewed as the progress is stopped.
Well, I think you've got to give a shout to the Illinois State defense. Their top 7 tacklers from last season return, and they just had a big hold. And here is a catch by Dylan Lord, a walk-on true freshman, and tight ropes the sideline. And this is into Iowa territory. First down, Redbirds at the Hawkeye 49.
A reference to how impressed Iowa's offensive staff was with their freshmen. The way that Illinois State rocks back, we've been talking about Dylan Lord in very similar capacity.
And he was with their freshman quarterback that they brought in from Chandler, Arizona, Beckham Pellins, and a sack. Rittenhouse has to eat it. And for the second time today, Aaron Graves makes a play in the backfield on Rittenhouse.
One of the big improvements in the game of Aaron Graves. He came in as a freshman, able to hit blocks early, exceptional run defender. But did you see the mechanics there as he got into that offensive guard? Quickly getting his shoulders turned, getting skinny into that gap, finishing at the QB.
Graves had 2.5 sacks last year. He has 2 in the opener. And here is very good coverage by Castro. And Castro picks up the ball and is running the other way with it after it was a pass intended for Xavier Lloyd. But all seems that this play is ruled dead and down.
The ruling on the field is the runner was down.
Castro,
third down.
He just seems to play at a pace that most other players just can't match on the football field. Yes, the pass receiver was down. Castro comes in, rips the football away. But just in case there's a chance that this could be another takeaway for Iowa. An opportunity to get in the end zone. Castro finishing every ounce of every play.
Well, with Cooper DeJean gone to the Philadelphia Eagles, obviously Castro is going to have a chance to shine. He's had a forced fumble already in this game today, and it's an overthrow. Third down and long, Rittenhouse.
Guess who's in coverage?
The aforementioned Sebastian Castro.
On the out route from the slot. And when you're a slot defender, you have so many different responsibilities. And Sebastian Castro able to occupy space in zone concepts there. He's in man on a slot receiver. We just saw the physicality on the previous snap, coming up with the thump as a tackler. He does so many things at such a high level in this Phil Parker defense.
Well, fourth in scoring defense last year in the country, behind Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Top 4 scoring defenses for the Big Ten. And pitching a shutout today and looking to make something happen on special teams. Weegin has had a return for a TD called back today, but that is a good return to give them much better field position for the likes of tight end Luke Lachey when the Hawkeye offense is on the field after this. Tuesday, it's the can't-miss top 10 women's volleyball matchup when Penn State takes on Louisville. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Penn State opened up with a win last night to begin their season over Tennessee. We had Oregon volleyball on the Big Ten Network last night. Their first match of the season, losing to Pitt. There's a run on first down and a pickup of 6 on that run for Iowa up to the 30-yard line. Oregon, by the way, another great school to add to Big Ten volleyball, ranked 10th. And preseason all-conference selection for Oregon outside hitter Mimi Collier, who from her prowess in terms of kills in high school in California was known as the Grim Leaper.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah,
I'm all about a good nickname. That's a great one.
Gain of 6. Moulton getting a lot of work today, some for LeSean Williams at running back. And that was a tough one. Between the 29 and the 30-yard line. The advanced stats sponsored by IFS.AI. So Iowa's defense is pitching a shutout through the first 20 minutes of the game. They have scored 16.5 points, but they have won 18 games in the last 2 seasons, as you see on the graphic.
It's been a point of both pride and frustration for those who are passionate about Iowa football fans in recent years here, as great as they've been in defense and special teams.
Deshaun Williams picked up the blitz. The pass by McNamara. Jacob Gill with the catch. And then lowering the boom on him was Keandre Jackson.
End up ruling that it was just enough for first down. Physical grab off a big hit.
34-yard line is where the ball is. And that's what they needed. The series started at the 24, and so the Hawkeyes do move the chains. A third down conversion after going 29% on third downs last year. First 16 plays, only 34 yards, 52 on the last 9. They got over 5 yards per play average. A roll and throw. McNamara finds Luke Lachey, broke a couple of tackles. Ultimately, Jake Anderson among those on the Redbirds defense with the tackle at the 40.
Well, and you said it earlier, Anthony, that the offense, the Iowa's offense, that's what everybody is really having their eyes on, and fans included. I went and talked to the student section before the game started today, and it was the first thing they said. They said, we're looking forward to seeing what Tim Lester is going to do with this offense. And similar to what his thoughts were, they know that their team is capable of having an elite offense just as they do the defense. And so the fans here, they've got all the eyes on Tim Lester and, of course, on this O-line as well.
Right now, the eyes on Deshaun Williams, who fought off one tackle in the backfield, and by doing that, at least made it back to the line of scrimmage. Stopped there at the 41.
I'm not accustomed to showing up in Iowa City and having people that I haven't met before, frankly. And so it was my first time getting to meet Tim Lester in person. We had a chance to talk to him yesterday. He's got a really vibrant personality. You know, he's a big personality. He's been a head coach. He's been a play caller at several institutions. Just finished a season with the Green Bay Packers. His offensive system, though, it does take a bit to really get everyone completely on the same page. There's a lot of verbiage, there's more motion that we're accustomed to seeing with Iowa.
Pressure off the edge. McNamara got in the way, but incomplete. Gerhard in coverage. Kessler brought pressure. And there was a third down pickup a moment ago, but not there on third down and 3.
One of the storylines that's been pretty frequent in recent years as well is Iowa being thin at wide receiver. I referenced that a bit earlier with no Caleb Brown in the game today, serving 1 game suspension. Seth Anderson not dressed for the game today either. He's been a bit banged up in the preseason.
Good punt by Restake and fumble the football. Contreras back there got that ball back despite all the black and gold around him. Wow. Here's Contreras dropping it. What a fortuitous bounce. They'll have it in bad field position, but they'll have the ball most importantly. Coming up at the half, we'll send it back to Rick Howard and Jerry for the halftime report, sponsored by Defender. A lot to discuss coming up on the halftime report today, as you see here at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Poor field position after the muffed punt, but Contreras got back on it. Quarterback keeper under duress for Tommy Rittenhouse, moving the ball forward 2 yards out of bounds along the near side of the field.
Really impressive effort from Deontay Craig there as well. Had the proper shoulder free, going in and impacting the blocker, but kept that outside arm free and had to chase Rittenhouse around the edge. Didn't allow him to turn the corner.
He had 7 quarterback pressures Deontay Craig did last year. Career 11 sacks. That, though, was a gain of 2. And now the pass to Sobkowitz. And Sobkowitz makes Jamari Harris miss in space and then scoots up the sideline and has a first down. That's near the Hawkeye 35-yard line.
Really impressive route from Daniel Sobkowitz. He just narrowly got Jamari Harris into his speed turn. Once Harris opened his hips up, that's where Sobkowitz came out of his break. Rittenhouse put it right on him.
Sobkowitz, who had 933 receiving yards last year, makes a 19-yard reception there. And Rittenhouse, and the ball is out as he's sacked, and it's recovered. Aaron Graves strikes again. He recovered the fumble. There's a marker down in the defensive secondary. Ethan Hurkett got there on the pressure. Graves, who has 2 sacks today, pounced on the free football, but the air's already been let out of the balloon once by a penalty today, maybe again.
10-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
There's been a punt return for touchdown negated by a penalty on Iowa, and now a strip sack and recovery negated by the hold on Jay Higgins.
There was an additional pat of the football in the pocket from Tommy Rittenhouse, and it seemed that it was as Jay Higgins was impeding the progress of the route that came over the middle. It actually looked to me like it was actually the tight end, Javon Charles, that reached out and perhaps grabbed Jay Higgins for some reason.
Previous play is under further review.
Interesting. Now, the question of what they are reviewing here.
So they wouldn't be allowed to review the defensive hold itself, but
there is no review of the play. The ruling stands. First down, Illinois State.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to think through in my head, so what exactly would they be reviewing? Because they can't review the defensive hold. I don't know, that replay did look to me like the tight end might have been the one reaching out to grab Higgins for some reason, but that's not reviewable anyway.
Yeah, I'm with you, though, Anthony. If there was a thought bubble visual over my head, it would have been filled with a lot of question marks.
Right.
Dylan Lord has gone in motion, and Javon Charles, and he's hit in space. He did pick up 3 yards on the catch. Xavier Wampa with the tackle.
They've got a deep rotation in the secondary for Iowa as well. Xavier Wampa, one of the most highly rated defensive recruits in the history of this program. He rotates onto the field. In their sub packages, Sebastian Castro at that cash position becomes more of a linebacker in some of those subsets.
Javon Charles, 3-yard pickup. And now here's Rittenhouse, and Rittenhouse with a long lob down the sideline, incomplete. Jamari Harris on coverage.
It's one of the most difficult things about facing this Iowa defense, because you want to be able to lengthen their coverage. Another great pass rush move on the inside from Aaron Graves, getting beat on the quarterback. But when you have any time and you look to attack vertically, that's not there either. It's like they've got extra bodies on the field.
3rd and 7. Redbirds 1 of 6 today on 3rd down. And a low snap won't help them convert this 3rd down. Rittenhouse did well to dig it out, but the bad snap certainly put that play off on a bad foot. And the footwork of Rittenhouse wasn't able to complete anything or create anything afterwards.
As he got into scramble mode,
Throwing as the passer was out of bounds. 4th down.
Motion. to one of his teammates to head deep and look to pick up a chunk play. Like you referenced the low snap there, Rittenhouse did everything he could to just extend the play. If he could try to pick up a chunk play opportunity there. Several teammates down the field who were just sort of standing around watching him run.
And he was running for dear life away from Deontay Craig and Aaron Graves, among others. Aaron Graves has been nightmare fuel for Rittenhouse today, sacking him twice in this game. Got the punt here by Hayden Futch. This is returnable for Weegan. There's just maybe not enough room along the boundary, but he creates room! Oh my goodness, Weegan is so fun to watch. He thinks he should have had more, but it's a heck of a return. Outside the 40 to the 41-yard line. We're back in 15 seconds. Still to come, Northwestern squares off with Miami University, and Indiana faces FIU. Then number 3, Oregon, their Big Ten debut. They battle Idaho, and another Big Ten debut followed up after that. Washington against Weber State. All ahead only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. I don't know if you can tell, Anthony, I enjoy watching Caden Weegan return punts. 23 yards on that return.
With good reason.
Motion for Luke Lachey, marker down, McNamara nearly down, but stays on his feet and is able to break contain. Again, there's a marker down here, but McNamara avoids 2 different possibilities of a sack and runs all the way down to the 39-yard line of Illinois State. There was heavy pressure from Stephen Curtis, the defensive front for Illinois State.
Illegal motion. Offense number 85. Moving forward at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Lachey at the wing position towards the bottom of your screen. He begins to motion out laterally, and as the football gets snapped, he had already begun on his arc release to work forward toward the line of scrimmage. You're allowed to continue to be working sideways. You can be moving laterally at the snap, and he had already started to work up towards the line of scrimmage.
Negates a nice scramble by McNamara. Kamari Moulton with a run. And that's up near the 40-yard line. So 6 penalties, 45 yards today for Iowa. Again, to repeat, last year, 5th fewest penalties per game, 3.6, 5th fewest penalty yards per game, 31. So this is a moment where they've regrettably, from their perspective, broken character today.
You add that into only 50 rushing yards in the game so far for Iowa. So yes, the passing attack, that's where you want the biggest lead if you're a Hawkeye fan.
And there's something in the passing attack. When you need something in the passing attack, throw it to the tight end, Luke Lachey. Inside the 45 of the Redbirds, at 44 officially. Best
ball of the day, Cade McNamara. Between multiple defenders, as Lachey declares himself eligible. Watch him get that 8 and the 5 turned back toward the QB. He is such a big target at 6'6", 250 pounds. Catches the ball away from his frame.
That went for 17 yards. Closing in on the 2-minute timeout. Running play, Moulton. Yards after contact. Put him in a very nice 2nd down situation. It's at the 37. Reese Edwards and Keandre Jackson with the tackle. And we have reached the 2-minute timeout at the end of the first half with Iowa leading 3-0.
Celebrate the fact that we were here. Celebrate that we got to do this together. But the impact that you had on young women in the sport doesn't get tarnished and it will always be there. You have raised this sport to a new level because of the way you play the game.
To 22 postseason appearances, 14 NCAA tournament berths, and capped off her career with back-to-back NCAA national championship appearances. She leaves as Iowa's all-time winningest coach and will go down as one of the most successful head coaches in NCAA basketball history. Her contributions are immeasurable. She's impacted thousands, and her legacy will last forever.
Over 500 wins in 24 years, back-to-back national championship game appearances to end her illustrious career as the women's basketball coach at Iowa. Lisa Bluder honored during this last time out here at Kinnick Stadium. What a moment.
Simply spectacular. All-time wins leader for the Hawkeyes. 5 Big Ten tournament titles, couple of Big Ten regular season championships as well. Last 2 national championship games.
The 2-minute timeout, and in space out on the right side, Kamari Moulton, drop pass, incomplete.
Just a little bit helter-skelter. Just a little bit out of rhythm there. That's a pass where you want to. As you hit that back foot, just quickly get your hips turned toward the target, groove the football out there into the flat. It's one of those things that there doesn't seem to have been enough reps yet for everyone to be comfortable.
You know, to your point, Tim Lester told us yesterday, said, you know, we've had him drinking from a fire hose, and one of the things I want to see a 2-minute drill. And they've got that opportunity now with the ball inside of 2 minutes and in good territory here. Illinois State half of the field. Jacob Gill with the catch. DeAndre Jackson with the tackle immediately, but that moves the chains to the 26.
Impressive grab there. Cade McNamara put some heat behind this ball. Jacob Gill had to go up and get it, knowing he would be immediately impacted by a defender. Some of that grit Tim Lester referenced.
Transfer from Northwestern certainly is going to have an impact. McNamara looked for a long time and then has a lane to run. And he dives for the first down inside the 15. Officially a scramble of 12 yards, put it down to the 14, and the clock stops to move the chains.
It was the running of Cade McNamara that clued in the Iowa coaching staff that he was starting to feel like his old self, not only physically, but mentally, the comfort with that lower body.
Still plenty of time. Oh, batted ball. It is tantalizingly up there in the air for someone to grab it, and no one does. It ends up falling to the turf, and it's still Iowa football.
Something happens in the space-time continuum when a football gets deflected, and it's just in the air for about a half a second, but it feels like half a year.
Yeah, it's defying gravity.
It really seems to be. I mean, Kinnick Stadium, the collective gasp that you heard in this stadium in that moment before it finally got deflected down to the ground.
Jake Siegel batted the pass at the line of scrimmage. Big nose tackle from Sycamore, Illinois. Was at Washington State for 3 years, but did not play. He's appeared in 10 games in the last 2 years at Illinois State. There's an injury, and we're back right after this. Buchanan Jr. from Skokie, Illinois, outside of Chicago, had 3 interceptions last year, and you see him slowly walking off the field.
A starter since his freshman season. Big physical boundary corner for the Redbirds.
Alternate running back at 12 personnel and slashing off the left side. The snap was at the 14. The run is down to the 10. Bringing up a 3rd down and 6 at the 10-yard line.
I'd say that run was a little bit better movement than Iowa's offensive front.
30-second timeout.
Timeout called. We're back at 30 seconds.
Side of the pit. Okay.
3rd and 6 at the 10. Iowa in field goal range.
At the point of attack, Mason Richmond, the offensive tackle there, 78. You see his charge on this stretch zone scheme. It's more of a mid-zone, the way that Tim Lester teaches it here. There's more of an aggressive charge out of the stance on the play side blockers. Those slight nuances in the run scheme are different for Iowa this season.
Deion Parks made the tackle there, and a pass to the goal line. Incomplete, looking for Ortworth. Broken up by Keandre Jackson, Freeport, Illinois senior safety. Ortworth had the longest pass play for Iowa last year, 54 yards. Looking for him there right on the goal line.
One of the things when you get into the red zone here, the confines, very tight, defenders able to converge that much more quickly. You got to be extremely precise when you fit footballs in.
28 yards to go with a 41-yard make. Tightness and holds for Drew Stevens, the junior from North Augusta, South Carolina. And Drew Stevens has the points today for Iowa with a pair of made field goals. And with precisely a minute to play in the first half, the Hawkeyes ranked 25th in the AP preseason poll, ranked for the 5th time in the last 6 years in the AP preseason poll. Ranked in the FCS coaches poll, Illinois State number 20 in FCS. Iowa in front, 6-0.
The total yardage advantage beginning to grow for Iowa in this particular game, but if they're going to be the team that a lot of prognosticators, analysts like myself feel like Iowa could be, if they're going to be in the championship picture, you do want to see continued growth. The experience that comes back for Iowa's offensive line, they've got more than any other team in the Big Ten as far as their overall experience. When you look at the Big Ten top to bottom, it's a variety of teams with new quarterbacks, with new offensive lines. The conference top to bottom, there's teams in the college football playoff conversation, of course.
And new teams in the conference as well, as you, of course, look and go back to 1950. Penn State added in 1990. Nebraska, the Huskers joined in 2011. On the East Coast, Rutgers and Maryland in 2014. And now Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC joining officially in August. 2 debuts today for Oregon and Washington on the Big Ten Network, their first Big Ten games. And that, of course, is another new thing into the equation. Later this year, Iowa's going to play Anthony at UCLA, and Washington will be coming here to Kinnick. Kick returned by Illinois State up to the 30-yard line. And so with 56 seconds left, Illinois State, they do have the ball. They have, if the scoreboard is correct, 3 timeouts. So they'll have a chance at a 2-minute drill here.
They're going to stick with Rittenhouse at quarterback, Jake Rubley, the player between the two of them, who's viewed as the more talented passer. But as much as we've talked about the Iowa sideline getting accustomed to a new play caller,
Winker's right. 6 yards.
The big advantage that Illinois State has seen between their preseason quarterback battle has been that Rittenhouse has the pre-existing experience in Tony Peterson's system, whereas Jake Rubley, maybe the more gifted passer between the two, just doesn't know the system as well yet.
13 games, 126 pass attempts. Another run here for Winkers Wright. It's beyond the 40, and that will move the chains. A first down for Winkers Wright. He has run for 625 yards 2 seasons ago, 261 yards last year. Winkers Wright from Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, but grew up in an orphanage in Haiti until he was 6 years old and was adopted by a family in Indiana. Quite a story. Winkers Wright has the final 2 carries of the first half, and Illinois State content rather than to attempt a 2-minute drill to just run the ball, pick up a first down, and let the final seconds go off the clock.
Really impressive young man is Winkers Wright. Earned his degree from Illinois State in 3 years. Extremely hard worker on the field and in the classroom.
And he now has a lot of the carries today because Mason King went out of the game with an injury early, the star running back for Illinois State, who was the newcomer of the year last year in the Missouri Valley Conference. But the story for the Illinois State offense is they can't get anything going against Iowa's defense. Shut out in the first half, and 2 field goals for Iowa on offense. And Seth Wallace, the acting head coach, is with Melanie Ricks on the field.
Coach, what are you seeing from your team today that you want to see improvements on, or what do you want to see yourselves building on?
Yeah, I just think, the level of execution's got to pick up a little bit. I think we've gotten a handle on them a little bit defensively, and I think we need to make sure that we continue to stay there. And then offensively and special teams, there's just been some unfortunate things that have happened that have slowed us down a little bit. And anytime that happens, it just kind of takes the wind out of your sails. But, executing just at a little bit of better pace.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Melanie.
Yeah, certainly some tough luck with regard to a Weegan punt return that was negated by an illegal block at the back, a punt return for a touchdown. And so we reach halftime and the opener of 2024 for the 25th ranked Hawkeyes. They lead Illinois State 6-0 on the Big Ten Network. Hello, I'm on headset, and Ant is here, not on headset yet. He can't be sure. Okay, here you go. Coming up on the monitor, what you were looking for. Does that work for you?
I like it.
So what's going to happen here? Okay.
We have impact research.
Okay. Yeah.
Midlights, is that a thing?
Yeah, I think that's a thing. I thought your pivot to that was good. So you're thinking the setup is 3.6 yards per rush for Iowa today. You know, they're looking for more than that. Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the passing attack obviously needs to grow.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's far more explainable than them not running the football well.
Gotcha.
Iowa getting a better run game in half number 2 should be more a higher priority than throwing the ball better.
Gotcha. Okay.
I can explain why they're not throwing it well. Them not running it well, it's a different story.
Yeah.
So all that doesn't need to be in your setup, but as far as context of
context,
where my discussion is going to go in the second half here.
Gotcha. Yeah, just context of I'll give you like the number 3.6 yards per rush. And, you know, that's not what we're used to seeing. And, obviously, it's an area of focus here.
Well, and in all honesty, Iowa has struggled to run the football for a couple of years now. But this is supposed to be the group that took all their lumps the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And now they've got this experienced offensive line.
Right.
And it's not showing so far.
Yeah.
In actuality, like Iowa turns around and hands it off a bunch. They really haven't run it well for a few years now.
Today's Big Impact Research brings us here to Iowa City, where a new cancer therapy that enables more precise targeting of tumors is redefining the cancer treatment landscape. With Theranostics, University of Iowa Healthcare can deliver radiation therapy selectively to cancer cells, leaving the surrounding healthy tissue unharmed. These advancements are the result of more than 20 years of research at the University of Iowa and provide new, effective, and personalized treatment options for cancer patients. Here on the Big Ten Network, 25th ranked Iowa 6, Illinois State nothing at the conclusion of 30 minutes and 30 more to play. Mark Followell joined by Anthony Herron. It's great to have you tuned in here on the Big Ten Network today. Anthony, you obviously have great insight and understanding of what Iowa football is all about. Of course, there's a desire to establish the running game, but that desire hasn't been fulfilled to their expectations so far today.
I have explanations for why Iowa's passing attack doesn't look great or rhythmic at this point, but the Iowa run game, I would say one half into this football season, that's the bigger concern for the Iowa Hawkeyes as a whole. When you look at the way that Kamar Moulton, as a young, talented running back, hasn't been able to advance on the opposing defense unencumbered in the way that you would hope for. There's been penetration into the backfield. There's been second and third level defenders finding creases as he's looking to declare his hold. This is an experienced offensive line that Iowa brings to the table today. They were supposed to be the most formidable group that Kirk Ferentz has had because of that experience. They've kind of taken lumps the last couple of years, found certain games, certain matchups where the run game looks more like we're accustomed to for Iowa. This is not an experienced down 3 for Illinois State. The defensive line for the Redbirds hasn't played a lot of football, but the linebackers and DBs have, and that's really showing up in their run fits.
You just saw the breakdown of the number of plays and the yards. Yes, there's balance, but 3.6 rushing yards per carry. Obviously, there's aspirations for more than that. Iowa won today's opening toss and deferred, so they have the ball here to start the second half, and they'll begin from their own 25-yard line against an Illinois State Redbirds team who is 1-7. By the way, there's a penalty here. Illinois State 7 against the Big Ten since 2000, which includes a 9-7 win over Northwestern in 2016, and they're down 6-0
after the play was over
to start the third quarter.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Kicking team number 28, 15-yard penalty. First down, Iowa. That's 28's first unsportsmanlike of the game.
Anthony, you and I have done a lot of games involving Big Ten teams playing FCS teams. When we talk to coaches, Brock Spackett at Illinois State, by the way, is no different. They always tell us in these games, you know, obvious things. You've got to control the things that you can control. Don't turn it over. Don't commit mental mistakes and bad penalties and turnovers, and a penalty like that certainly not part of their script today.
You got to execute in all phases of the game. You can't have self-inflicted wounds like that. Gives Iowa free yardage.
Yeah, instead of the 25, they start out at the 40 and looking left and caught and upended is Ostrenga. Ostrenga shared the lead in receptions on this Iowa team with Nico Gainey last year. And that reception moves the sticks right to midfield.
That was a better arc release from Ostrenga. We saw Luke Lachey pick up a penalty earlier in the game. As Ostrenga works laterally, he does a nice job as he starts to work sideways, even bellies back a little bit. Then at the snap of the football, advances toward the line of scrimmage. That's a nice learning opportunity. You see one teammate learn from the other's mistake.
3 catches, 14 yards today for Ostrenga. He had 31 catches last year. Just into plus territory by about a half yard, and then Keandre Jackson brings down Kamari Moulton.
But you see the majority of the TFLs aren't coming from that down 3 of Illinois State. They're hitting blocks up front, allowing the linebackers and especially the secondary to work downhill. If you run the ball a little more effectively, those play action opportunities that you know Tim Lester wants to feature should be there for the Hawkeyes.
Loves 12 personnel, and that's the case right now. McNamara throws. Reese Vanderzee, true freshman. Anthony, get out your map and look all the way up in the northwest corner, up by South Dakota and Minnesota, Rock Rapids, Iowa, where Reese Vanderzee was a dual-threat quarterback as a senior, but set a school record for receiving yards in high school as a junior, and he makes his second grab today.
Good ball from McNamara, leading him right there into that void in the defense between the linebacker and the safety. One thing Tim Lester said is Reese Vanderzee, he is sure-handed.
Yeah, if it's in his area, he said that dude's going to catch it. 2 grabs today, 35 yards. Moulton brought down by Jake Anderson. There's Jake Anderson, who defensive coordinator Travis Niekamp told us ate a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and protein shakes to go from 245 coming in as a freshman out of high school to being a 290-pound defensive tackle now. He's there to gum up the works on the running play. Was a gain of 4. Again in that 12 personnel here for the Hawkeyes. And Caleb Johnson is in for his first carry. Sprinting off to the left side. And down to the 26, so they're moving the ball here. Tion Parks to tackle.
First action of the game so far, Caleb Johnson not on the field in the first half. Now we're seeing him in half number 2 here. He's got a different run style from Kamari Moulton. Bigger and more straight line speed to advance on the defense.
Caleb Johnson, 1,242 rushing yards over the last 2 seasons. And he will now go all the way out to the wide side of the field. They've gone empty here with the 5 wideout set. And McNamara throwing, oh, nicely done. Luke Lachey, a catch, absorbs a hit, and has a 1st and goal.
They've been utilizing the quick outs with Lachey in the slot over and over again. This time as Iowa goes with some tempo now. We'll get back to it in a moment.
19 yards. 19 yards to Luke Lachey. And Ostrenga or Lachey. They're both out there, but sliding to make the grab with a welcome to Iowa football moment. Touchdown, Reese Vanderzee. There will be more, but that's the first for true freshman Reese Vanderzee from Rock Rapids, Iowa.
Very cool moment for a young football player scoring his first career touchdown as a Hawkeye. Off play action. And the eye discipline of McNamara is a part of what kept that void open. He kept his eyes over the outside to the exterior of the formation. That widened the coverage enough. I believe Cade McNamara knew the entire time he wanted to feed that back over the middle to Vanderzee.
Going for 2 with a 12-point lead. Just 2 field goals in the first half, so to try to make this a 14-0 advantage. Hawkeyes go for 2, and again it's a roll to the right side, and this time it's incomplete. Pass for Luke Lachey for the 2-point conversion. Dylan Gerhardt, he broke it up. It is the first touchdown of 2024 and the first in the Iowa football career for Reese Vanderzee, and it's made it a 12-point advantage over the Redbirds here at Kinnick. Drive summary is brought to you by American Family Insurance. It was a nice drive, 7 plays, 75 yards, 328 taken off the clock. 7-yard touchdown pass to Reese Vanderzee capped the drive. Drive started with a personal foul penalty. And as you'll see here in a moment, there was a critical pass to Luke Lachey that put them in scoring position. But first things first, kickoff here by Drew Stevens. 2-point conversion was it converted after the touchdown. So just tuning in, 2 first-half field goals for Stevens. And then 6 on the board, nothing more. Stevens and fumbled here in the end zone. And Jalen Carr will go down. And Illinois State with the ball. So Luke Lachey takes this pass down to the 7-yard line. He also had a hand on the touchdown pass too, even though he didn't catch it.
And these last 2 pass completions were absolutely beautiful. Lachey's initial route was set up by some earlier routes where defenders bit on the out look, and then he whipped it back over the middle. Great timing on the completion. And here from a condensed formation, Vanderzee works all the way across the top, and then as Cade McNamara reverse pivots out, he's knowing the entire time he's coming back to Vanderzee over the middle, but he used his eyes to widen the coverage to open it up.
And to respect the tight ends, both Estrenga and Lachey there in that sequence. Jay Higgins, he's not the only one, but he is among the players on the tackle on a first down run for Winkers right. Hope everything's okay for Mason King. He played early in the game for Illinois State at running back and then got his knee rolled up on and has been out of the game since and presumably won't be coming back. Right, Seth Glatson won the ball since.
I was told at the half that they're thinking Mason King, it may not be as bad as it looked on the field. They're hopeful.
Incompletion, going to right out of the backfield. By the way, the first series of the second half goes to Jake Rubley at quarterback for the Redbirds, not Tommy Rittenhouse.
Certainly got the impression they wanted to keep a rotation going, and then as you got to the end of the second quarter, Rittenhouse got those last couple of drives there, but they really like the potential that Jake Rubley brings to the table.
Well, third downs have been difficult today, to say the least. This is a manageable one, and Rubley put the ball on target, but the bobble, it was caught by the tight end, Mitch Bartle, but Kyler Fisher with the tackle, and that bobble prevented him from turning upfield, Anthony.
To get off the field on third down. It's one of the points that Phil Parker made to us yesterday, right? Where to lead the nation in yards per play allowed is great, but to allow first downs, to allow longer drives and more snaps to have to be played by your defense, that's been a point of emphasis for Iowa throughout the offseason.
Yeah, it's nice for Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson to make way over 100 tackles, but if you can get them off the field by more 3 and outs, they won't have to make as many tackles. So Weegent had some electrifying punt returns in the first half, but Zach Lutmer was back for that punt return. And it will be Iowa ball on this drive. Their first drive of the third quarter resulted in a touchdown from Cade McNamara to Reese Vanderzee, up 12-0. Let's say what the doctor ordered for Iowa on their first drive of the second half was an efficient drive in terms of throwing the football, and Cade McNamara went 4 for 4.
Both in the pocket and on the move. And we saw a lot of similarities to the plays that they were running in the first half, just executed at a much higher level. Pass off the right arm, Cade McNamara, much more sharp, tight spiral, hitting his pass receivers between the numbers and here on the move, using that eye discipline, widening the coverage, throwing it back over the middle for the touchdown.
One catch for Estringa, then Vander Zee, then Lachey, and then Vander Zee with the finishing touches. That masterpiece in the drive by McNamara and company. Marker down, throwing the ball to Vander Zee. Coverage by Tion Parks. And a penalty marker is down.
Vander Zee, with that 6'4" frame, he's actually still fairly
Defense
mobile for
number
a player.
26. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
A player who largely featured at quarterback in high school, but you see the movement capabilities as a receiver. 4 out of 4 on that last drive for Cade McNamara, 53 yards, and that final touchdown pass to get the Hawkeyes into the end zone for the first time this season.
Caleb Johnson with another series in running back. Jacob Gill is in motion. And Caleb Johnson has room to run. Almost plowed right up into the umpire before taking on defenders at the second level. Ultimately, Keon Jackson with the tackle, but not after a first down to the Redbirds 46.
When Caleb Johnson is fully healthy, he's the most physically gifted of Iowa's running backs. And watch Connor Colby on the pull here. Just cut right off the hip, the interior of that O-line.
Caleb Johnson never got a chance to use his physicality, however, here on the first down run. Jalen Gaines was in the backfield, so was Lavois Deontay McCoy. Nowhere to go in that sequence for Johnson, who had just broke off a nice run.
The first half was not the full-strength version of Iowa's offense from a personnel perspective. Not only didn't have Caleb Johnson in there, but I referenced the receivers, Caleb Brown, Seth Anderson, not there in today's game either.
With the throw underneath, they've gone to Johnson. Johnson bouncing off tacklers inside the 40. It's officially down to the 39. 8-yard pass play on 2nd and 11.
We're seeing some new things, and one thing Tim Lester referenced to is that there'll be situations that the team has been put in that they've only worked through a couple of times in practice so far between the spring, Cade McNamara not there and healthy during the spring, now throughout fall camp, having a variety of players who've been in and out of the lineup a bit, but the volume of plays that they'll access should improve week by week as they just are able to rep it.
So he's been very excited and happy about how the offensive unit has accepted him, and they're excited about the opportunity to run something new, and they'll be more excited with plays like this. Luke Lachey down to the 31-yard line of the Redbirds, and the chains move again.
It's an unencumbered way to get a release for your tight end. You can arc release him from the wing position as long as it's executed well, which Luke Lachey did not execute his release well the very first time. It drew a flag. Now we've seen both Estringa and Lachey the last couple of series able to arc release and have just a nice, easy movement of the chains.
And 2 catches for Lachey here in the second half. Right now, Jake Anderson, defensive lineman from Davis, Illinois, for Illinois State, is down. outstanding camp by Reese Vanderzee elevated him to start working with the ones. And starting today, he's had 4 targets, 3 catches, 42 yards, a touchdown on the last drive, making him the first true freshman for the Hawkeyes to catch a touchdown pass since Keegan Johnson against Minnesota late in the 2021 season.
And Vanderzee built differently than a number of the other Iowa receivers. With that 6'4" frame, the catch radius is immense.
207 pounds. Tim Lester said he can run an average route, but just get it near him and he'll catch it. Roll out, throw, McNamara for the end zone, and Jacob Gill! His first Iowa touchdown! Nicely done, 31 yards. The lead is 18 points.
That showcases the confidence that Cade McNamara is playing with at this point in the game. So much of it set up off of run action, not even a hard play action fake, but then just sort of an effortless flick of the wrist, feeding it to Jacob Gill behind multiple defenders.
4 touchdown passes in 5 games last year before the left knee injury for Cade McNamara. 2 today. They've been here in the 3rd quarter. Whatever happened at halftime, Iowa will hope that they can repeat that. And they have come out, and the passing game in particular, Anthony, has been absolutely on point for the acting head coach, Seth Wallace, with Kirk Ferentz suspended today.
As Jacob Gill came off the line of scrimmage, initially he's working up the hash. He knows he's about to run an over route toward the post, taking it all the way toward the corner, but there's multiple defenders in position to potentially defend him. As he breaks the route off, though, his quarterback, Cade McNamara, throws him open. The way he spots this football, knowing he sees the back of 2 defensive backs, he's able to throw Jacob Gill over more toward the left, toward the wide side of the field. That slight adjustment, not only to the throw, but the way Gill tracked that ball in flight, that's a positive sign for this Iowa passing attack.
Gill did go into the end zone twice as a wide receiver in 3 seasons with Northwestern. His first time to savor the flavor of doing that here in Iowa City. He's a redshirt junior from Raleigh, North Carolina. Cade McNamara, you can't get any better than that. 7 of 7. 100 yards on the button, 2 touchdowns.
Iowa Hawkeye fans, they certainly love to see numbers like that from the quarterback position. There's talent. It's there at tight end. We see receivers who've been inexperienced in this Iowa offense starting to make plays as well.
And Jacob Gill making his presence felt during fall camp. We talked to Tim Lester yesterday, said he was a bright spot with his hard work and set the tone for the wide receiver room with toughness. Tuesday, it's a can't-miss top 10 women's volleyball matchup when Penn State takes on Louisville. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Penn State started out with a win last night against Tennessee. And now the Iowa defense, they have played so very well through 2.5 quarters. And an interception today by Jamari Harris, a forced fumble by Sebastian Castro that was recovered by TJ Hall. There's Nick Jackson, who has a chance this year with 114 tackles to set a new official FBS tackles record. Carlton Marshall at Troy has the record from his 5 seasons there, 2018 to 2022. Running the ball for the first time, Josh Robinson. Illinois State looking at 3rd down and short coming up.
The way Iowa hits blocks up front, and the angle they hit those blocks with, it's so precise because they keep their leverage on the ball carrier available, forcing them to declare that they violently get off that block to make a play.
1 of 8 on 3rd down. This one's converted, however, on 3rd and 1. Falling over the 35 to the 37. Josh Robinson. The early injury for Mason King. That's left Winker's right. Seth Glatz, and now Josh Robinson, who did have 146 yards last year. Bolingbrook, Illinois, sophomore. He's going to lose yardage here. Wyatt Black Today, his 41st game with the Hawkeyes, and bear hugs Robinson down for a TFL.
He's been a player that their defensive line coach, Kelvin Bell, has told me about how excited he's been about Y.A. Black since his freshman season. Now here, this is light work because he comes unblocked into the backfield. They've been accustomed to Y.A. Black hitting blocks, knocking them back at the point of attack over and over again. That time he just adjusted his path and made the play.
Minnesota here to Iowa City in 41 games. Jay Higgins, that is a term that Tony Peterson used with us the other day, calling it a Brock's back as well for the Illinois State staff, ball disruption. Not just about forcing turnovers, Anthony, but batted balls, to my point about ball disruption.
They do so many things to make you feel like you've wasted a play on offense, and then they put you in these scenarios where now you're at third and forever. You don't know where a blitzer might come or where the coverage might dictate you go with the ball.
Yeah, they converted a 3rd and 1, but 3rd and 14 is not good. Ethan Hurkett on pressure, and ultimately Brian Allen makes the play. Max Llewellyn also part of that pressure package. Ball's back up to the 37. 4th and 10. This is the second series of the second half for Illinois State's offense, with Rubley playing at quarterback. Tommy Rittenhouse started today. The plan was to play 2 quarterbacks, and the second of those 2 quarterbacks in terms of the order in which they went on the field, Jake Rubley, is down right now.
Landed on heavy. And his arm is holding. Just falling awkwardly. Left elbow hit the ground. Yeah. That's what did it. Copy that. Still got that front end from the reach.
Okay. Huh, okay. Okay.
You're old enough where you've seen it.
I have seen it, yes. Andre the Giant.
Can you ask Mel if she's seen the Princess Bride movies? That was for you, Glenn. Ronald and Melanie Shares. Can you ask Melanie if she's seen the Princess Bride? Can I ask her that on the air?
Jake Rubley was down and now has walked back to the bench. His dad was a quarterback in the National Football League with the Rams. They were in LA in 1993, Packers in 1995, played 10 games in the NFL. Jake Rubley transferred from Kansas State. First game today with Illinois State. And he goes off the field here, and now this is a punting situation under duress. It is away by Hayden Futch and will roll and go out of bounds. 5:26 left in the 3rd quarter. Now, we've done games together, Anthony, but you've got something new in your repertoire from the last year or two, the Fruit Squad.
That's right, man. The biggest and baddest dudes in the Big Ten Conference. I try to honor them on a weekly basis. Today, we're going to honor Aaron Graves. The work he's been getting done on the inside for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Former high school All-American. He's been an exceptional run defender throughout his career. Now we see his penetration into the backfield. 3 sacks he's been credited with so far today. Now, the Brute Squad, have you seen the Princess Bride?
I have seen The Princess Bride,
Okay.
of course,
All right,
starring
good.
role by Andre the Giant.
Yes, Fezzik.
You know, I always relate it to wrestling. That's the thing I like to do. You know? Here is that outside zone run and looking for room. Caleb Johnson. Johnson fought forward, bumped down outside the 20-yard line.
Now, I don't know if Mel's on the sideline. We've got a couple of years on Melody Ricks, so I don't know if she has seen the Brute Squad from The Princess Bride or not. Is that a familiar refrain for you, Mel? Have you heard of the Brute Squad?
And let's just put it this way. I had to ask our producer, what is The Princess Bride? I've never seen that movie, I hate to say, but I would love to be able to relate to whatever it is that you're comparing it to right now.
Between today and your game next week, Mel's got to watch that.
We're going to be together a lot this fall. We've got to make sure that Mel gets to watch The Princess Bride at some point. It is worth your time.
I'm crestfallen upon hearing that news that Mel has not seen The Princess Bride. Come on now.
I blame her parents. Bad childhood.
So disappointing. There's a third down run, and Moulton bounces off the initial contact, and the lunge off that tackle attempt by Keandre Jackson, beg your pardon, does result in a first down for Moulton.
This has been sort of the main look. The backside defender have been making the majority of the plays on the Iowa run scheme, whether it's been the inside zone or that mid zone that stretches more laterally.
2 touchdown drives for Iowa here, has produced 13 points in the third quarter. We're inside 4 to play in the third. And now establishing the ground game a little bit more, just trying to stay on schedule outside the 30. Amir Abdullah, he is currently down. That is an outstanding linebacker, 3rd team FCS All-American last year, 9.5 sacks, 14 TFLs. Transferred from Nebraska Kearney at the Division II level to be immensely impactful for Illinois State in a 6-5 season last year. And Abdullah is down right now with 3:43 to play in the third quarter. We're back in 30 seconds with Iowa up 19-0.
Game breaks today.
Amir Abdullah limped off the field. As Brock Spack, winningest coach in Illinois State history. On the left side of the screen, you see what happened to the man from Whitney Young High School in Chicago.
Linebacker's been playing some ball today. Amir Abdullah has been one of the ones leading the charge for the Redbirds defense.
Roll, Lachey forced out of bounds by C.J. Hodgson.
When you're playing an odd front like Illinois State does, it's Brock Spack's defensive mindset. He has Travis Niekamp as a defensive coordinator carrying things out for him, but it's not only about that front three. It's one of the things that makes the target points for the offensive line more difficult. When you're playing what's known as an even front, when you have 4 down linemen, it's more defined. Who are the big bodies you need to block in the run game? Odd front with 3 down linemen, there's 4 linebackers out there. You got the 2 off ball, the 2 up near the edge. You don't know for sure what their responsibility is at the snap of the football.
They're down and short. They need 2. And it comes out of the hands of Cade McNamara with a lot of pace, and it's off the hands of Jariat Bowie. Redshirt freshman from Tampa, Florida. And Bowie's chance for his first catch of the day doesn't come to fruition, and Iowa will punt with 2:48 to play in the third.
I felt like Cade McNamara in the first quarter of the game was fairly decisive with his reads, but he wasn't delivering the football with the urgency, with the force, with the confidence that we've seen him delivering it with in the third quarter.
Punt by Reese Dakin. Braden Contreras has fumbled one. He did get back on it. That one is a clean, fair catch made down inside the 20-yard line.
Coming up, Northwestern takes on Miami University, and Indiana will play FIU. Then number 3, Oregon battles Idaho in the Ducks' Big Ten debut, and the Huskies make their Big Ten debut after that, a clash with Weber State. All still to come today, right here on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Check btn.com/gamefinder for the channel locations in your area. Oregon and Washington, part of the 4 new schools debuting in the Big Ten, USC and UCLA, 13 new projected starting quarterbacks, 5 new head coaches. I have managed this weekend to not see one of the new starting quarterbacks. Luke Altmaier in Illinois and Cade McNamara back in the saddle again for Iowa. Here's a jump ball and caught. Nicely done by Xavier Lloyd as he wins the jump ball with John Nestor. The pass by Tommy Rittenhouse, who's back in the game at QB for the Redbirds.
Xavier Lloyd, very close. Jake Rubley, his former K-State teammate, able to go up and get it.
That was a 37-yard jump ball, and then just a pass that's out of bounds went over the head of Dylan Lord. You had Lloyd catch the long pass. Lord, the intended receiver there. Dylan Lord starting with Eddie Casper. Didn't want to note that, by the way. Eddie Casper's unavailable due to illness for Illinois State, which is a shame because he's the nephew of Iowa legend Kevin Casper, former teammate of yours.
One of the most productive receivers in program history, helped lead Iowa out of the difficulties of those initial couple of Kirk Ferentz seasons.
Matter of fact, still shares the single-season receptions record at Iowa, along with Marvin McNutt, 82 catches for Kevin Casper back in 2000.
What a season he had that year. He was just starting to get things turned around in year 2 under Kirk Ferentz.
Well, now you hear the Iowa faithful. The crescendo of noise grows on 3rd and 10. Low throw caught short of the first down. Xavier Lloyd from Blue Springs, Missouri, into Anthony's point a moment ago, a K-State transfer.
I think inside the plus 40 is an opportunity that Illinois State should pursue. Go ahead, go for this 4th down. Try to keep your offense on the field.
Was that a play call perhaps designed not to attain a first down, but just to set up a more manageable 4th down?
With the comfort that if you don't have some yards after the catch to move the sticks, you'll go for the 4th place.
So 4th and 4. Rittenhouse off target. Incomplete. Coverage by TJ Hall. Hall has made his presence felt with a fumble recovery today. A fumble created by Sebastian Castro.
The way that Iowa's been squatting on these routes, we're seeing in coverage, they've shown the ability to open up their hips and run with some of the double moves, but I do think in the second half of this game here, if Illinois State's going to try to stay in it, continue to attack with the vertical pass. We've only seen a couple of attempts of that sort.
1:33 left in the 3rd quarter. 19-0, Iowa leads. Okay, so in addition to, of course, the Big Ten debuts that we talked about a moment ago, this is a brand new era in college football, 12-team playoff. Here are the formatics for it. I think it's worth noting. Iowa, Penn State, Big Ten teams like that could really benefit from that based on past track record if there had been a 12-team playoff. McNamara. And Zastrenga. Oh, that's nice. Fans like that, you love to see tough tight end running after the catch. Well done. From Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, how about Addison Ostrenga?
That position has meant so much to this program over the years, and after last year, where Luke Lachey leaves with an injury, Eric Hall leaves with an injury, Addison Ostrenga had to step forward and showcase his skills.
Took on Jalen Gaines on that particular play. Stephen Curtis, by the way, with that tackle. Here's one more peek, Anthony, at what, of course, has college football fans from coast to coast excited, the 12-team playoff.
And it'll open up the opportunities, not only opportunities for more teams to make the college football playoff, but the on-campus playoff games. That chance that we'll be able to see teams pursuing a national championship in postseason play, but on these campuses. There's a lot of excitement about it.
Ortworth's in right now at tight end. And McNamara is under pressure, got away from Kessler, and then he's able to find Ortworth! Well, McNamara made the play by eluding the rush, and then it's a very nice catch by Zach Ortworth from St. Louis. His one grab last year was 54 yards against Rutgers. That one goes for 31.
As Cade McNamara evades multiple defenders, protection blown on the interior, gets away from two guys, not only squares the shoulders around, but then throws a teardrop over the outstretched hands of the defender. That is a marvelous pass by Cade McNamara.
Third quarter.
It was a third quarter really special for Cade McNamara, and he puts an exclamation point on it with that pass to Ortworth. We're back after this. He's warming up. Yep. Sully's warming up. Oh, really? Cade McNamara went 10 for 11 in the third quarter. And as I said, going to break a moment ago, that's an exclamation point on a 10 of 11 third quarter. Great catch by Ortworth as well. And you may see that play later on tonight. The final drive recaps the entire day around the conference. Tonight after football on the Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. I mean, I don't pick the highlights, but if I did, that play would be on there.
It's a nominee. I believe we're at least empowered to nominate highlights.
Yes, absolutely. Eluding the pressure, got away from Nick Kessler, and Ortworth. Really good hands on that play as well. And now McNamara throwing. Oh, Reese Van Der Zee! High points to football. He was the bigger, stronger, tougher young man right there. And a second touchdown for the true freshman. Big Ant, I think Big Reese is the start of something special here today in Iowa City.
Well, Cade McNamara is the only one who's able to hear Tim Lester in his headset. But I'd be very curious to hear how Tim Lester sounded as that play was initially developing.
I mean, everything Tim told us yesterday has proven to be true about Van Der Zee's ability to catch anything in his very significant catch radius.
And I mean, the protection that's there. They got LeSean Williams, who's apparently attempting to block two defenders who come in and block for some reason that I don't completely understand. And Cade McNamara, as he continues to sort of stumble backwards, just floats a pass to multiple Iowa pass catchers who are in the same quadrant of the end zone. And then there are three different Illinois State defenders all around Reese Van Der Zee. He's still able to, with that 6'4" frame, go up and snatch the football out of jeopardy. And yes, he is in the end zone again for the Hawkeyes.
Reese Vanderzee did win not only a state championship in football at Central Lyon High School in Rock Rapids, Iowa, but also a basketball state championship in Class 2A in Iowa. Now, you would say that was bad spacing in basketball with all of those guys there, but Vanderzee was able to rescue the play and make it 25-0, and then the extra point 26-0 at the start of the fourth.
This is an absolutely mind-boggling stat. 3 touchdown catches just in the second half of today's game. The last 2 full seasons for wide receivers. They haven't had wide receivers for full seasons with more than 3. 3 total in 2023. 2 total in 2022. Now 3 for the wide receivers today.
And Tim Lester said yesterday, I don't know what to expect. The guys who are going to start are 2 guys who have never put the uniform on here at Iowa. And the uniform looks really good on them today. Vanderzee 2 touchdowns, Jacob Gill the other one in terms of those 3 wide receiver touchdown receptions that have occurred here, that is, in the second half of the game. And this warrants another look. Put this on the final drive, too, if we're empowered to nominate highlights.
Like you've been referencing here, Caleb Brown not in the game today. Seth Anderson not in the game today. They're really the 2 best receivers, at least coming into today's game, that were anticipated coming into this season for Iowa. But we have seen Jacob Gill going up and getting the football, Reese Vanderzee making plays as well, and most importantly, Caden McNamara getting his game on in half number 2.
You know, completion percentage obviously is something that I want to see go up from last year, and 11 of 12 for McNamara here in the second half of the game. Jay Higgins, a tackle on a pass to the running back Josh Robinson, and Hillman has come off here.
Must leave the game for 1 down, 16 of the offense.
So Tommy Rittenhouse has to go out, and Jake Rubley was hurt earlier. He is able to come into the game though, Rubley. They do not have to go to Beckham Pellant, a true freshman from Chandler, Arizona. Running, Robinson tackled Higgins, the leading tackler in all of FBS last year with 171. Tied the Iowa program single season tackle record.
It's a great look at everyone doing their job. Carson Shire stepping in, fitting off of one block with the proper shoulder. Jay Higgins, as he is wont to do, coming in, finishing things up.
I love what Phil Parker said to us yesterday, the defensive coordinator, that Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson are students of the game. They know the tendencies of the other team. They know where the ball is going to go, where the running plays are going to go. So, of course, they're there to make all of those tackles. A push out of bounds by Cohen Entringer after the catch was made on the far sideline. And it brings up 4th down. That's 3 yards short on the catch by Dylan Lord. Same high school as that 3rd-string quarterback I just mentioned, Beckham Pellant, Hamilton High School in Chandler, Arizona. Lord a walk-on. And the injury to Eddie Casper we were discussing earlier is why he's starting today, or the unavailability that is due to illness for Eddie Casper. Clutch, good punt. Driving Caden Weechen back. Cuts, breaks 1 tackle. Then knocked down to the 23-yard line. 54-yard punt by Hayden Butch. Well, here's one more look at Reese Vanderzee. You thought his first touchdown pass was nice. How about the second touchdown catch?
booth.
Well, Tim Lester told us yesterday that their new offense, some days in practice it looks really good, some days it doesn't, but we're going to learn a lot in this game, and that sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't, kind of typified by Cade McNamara. What a turnaround. 8 for 17 to 11 of 12 in the second half, 166 in the air, 3 TDs.
It's just more difficult to find rhythm in the passing game, especially early in the season and coming off an offseason where quarterback, various pass catchers haven't been out there.
Completed to 6 different pass catchers here in this second half as LeSean Williams runs the ball. And it's a pickup of 4 and more in the Iowa offense from Melanie Ricks.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I mean, the Iowa offense, they are having a great time today. So they knew that there was some pressure going into it, but I talked to assistant coach Quincy Griffith about that pressure, and he said, we don't feel that. We don't want to feel any of that pressure. I tell my guys a simple message. Go out there and execute. Play hard the way you know how to play, and have fun. And they are certainly having fun, not only on the field, but also on the sidelines as well, Mark.
Oh, and Williams caught it, fumbled it, and it looked like Illinois State was there to recover, but jumping back in, the sure hands of tight end Addison Ostrenga. What looked like that was going to be a Redbirds recovery.
Rolling on the field is a catch and a
Pinballs
fumble.
away from a defender.
Recovered by the offense. Beyond the line to gain. First down, Iowa.
I don't know that he actually caught that. The ball got into his body. Did he have it cleanly and then make a football move afterwards? You know, from Iowa's perspective, make a big difference. Yeah, that was close.
I think there's a debate and a discussion to be had there, but it's irrelevant now because a play has been snapped. LeSean Williams picks up 2 yards. Just a little more than 2 on that first down run.
Certainly a fortuitous carry for Tim Lester, that even if the play stood as called, his team gets the football back. But it was a fun conversation we were having with the Iowa play caller yesterday. One of the things we asked him about was whether or not he felt that additional pressure that comes with taking over the leadership of this offense.
Oh, this opens up for Caleb Johnson. Johnson stays on his feet at the line of scrimmage, and then all the way, touchdown, Caleb Johnson. "64 yards once he was able to burst through an attempt to bring him down at the line. Then he was off to the races.
This looks just slightly different than what Iowa fans have come accustomed to during Kirk Ferentz's time here. The path of the O-line, yes, they're still moving in unison for that zone blocking scheme, but as opposed to a lateral charge, it's more of a vertical charge, kind of a 45-degree step, advancing on the opposing defense, moving that front seven against their will. Path of the back slightly different as well, where now Caleb Johnson more quickly getting vertical.
A 6-point first half, a 26-point and counting second half. Huge turnaround for the folks who love the idea of halftime adjustments. This is certainly a compelling case for halftime adjustments.
The halftime adjustment was block people. Catch the football. That's what we're seeing from the Iowa Hawkeyes in this half. As fantastic as Cade McNamara has begun throwing the football, this highlight right here matters more to the season of the Iowa Hawkeyes than anything else we've seen. That O-line getting rolling, Caleb Johnson to the paint.
This is Tim Lester's recent history in the game, including being a head coach at Western Michigan. This is not his first time at the Big Ten. He did spend a year as Purdue's quarterback coach, but now he has grabbed the mantle of being offensive coordinator for Iowa. And I was so impressed yesterday because he said, I want these guys to have success so badly. And they've had success in the second.
He was eager to watch them. There's quite a few Iowa fans who were very eager to see what the Tim Lester offense would look like today. First half results, not so good. So far in the second half, this is more what Iowa fans have been hoping to see.
Got a return here on the kickoff, Illinois State. Jalen Carr out to the 23. Experience the expanded Big Ten Conference like never before with Big Ten Plus. You can stream thousands of non-televised live events across the Big Ten, plus enjoy next-day game replays from every Big Ten game as well. Just go to BigTenPlus.com to subscribe right now. Right now is 11:03 left in the fourth quarter at Kinnick Stadium in the season opener against FCS Missouri Valley Football Conference opponent Illinois State. And the Redbirds complete a pass here. Dylan Lord along the far sideline for a first down.
One thing that ended up being kind of fortuitous as Tim Lester accepted the job opportunity to be the OC for Iowa, it was before it was known that helmet communication was going to be a part of college football at the Power 5, at the Power 4, and the FBS level this season. But then to have as much verbiage as there is in his offense, having that rule come into place less than a month after he accepted this job, that's been a big part of the way that he's been able to implement his system and aid the way that his quarterbacks can communicate the play call to teammates, where now he's got the ability to talk directly to them up until 15 seconds remain on the clock.
There is certainly a complexity in the language of the offense as a play is made in the open field. Carson Shire with the tackle on the play, on the running play by Winkers Wright.
And there's a balance to that, Mark, where you're thinking, all right, you're a new play caller, new OC. A lot of the assistants on offense pre-exist. Tim Lester coming in as the OC, so the coaches have to learn the language. The players have to learn the language. There's been a lot, and it's still ongoing here, and it'll really develop in the months to come.
Rittenhouse, down he goes, Brian Allen. Sophomore. Bill Parker expressed a lot of optimism about the steps forward that he's taking in his game and to be a part of the defensive line rotation. And Allen gets to the quarterback, Rittenhouse, to take him down.
It's the type of pass rush you can make when you've got a predictable down and distance. Brian Allen, right there from outside Chicago. Little delayed chop club, getting around that offensive tackle and dips the upfield shoulder to be able to finish, to burst at the QB.
And here is trouble. Aiden Futch under pressure, and he had to eat it and tries to run. And then ultimately, we'll see if this is fourth down and tackle or fourth down run by Futch and fumble. The helmet has come off. The play is dead, regardless of whether or not it's fumble, runner down. It's going to be Iowa ball.
Jackson Rexroth somehow ends up with the football at the end. It's hard to track exactly what took place. You went from the possibility of a punt block to the possibility of a fake punt that could end up in a first down. Then everything went haywire. I was bringing it off the edge. Decides to tuck it. Futch tries to pick up the first down. He was going nowhere fast. Multiple Iowa punt return defenders converge on him. Get the football away.
You see Kyler Fisher, Rex Roth to Anthony's point, and ultimately it's Hawkeye ball here at the 34-yard line of Illinois State. McNamara still in the game. Caleb Johnson, who just had the 64-yard touchdown run, has a nice first down pickup of 6 inside the 30 and inside of 9 minutes left to play in the game.
One point Kirk Ferentz made to us about the open scrimmage that frankly had Iowa fans really concerned. There were fans who were allowed to come to Kinnick Stadium a couple of weeks ago, and it was going to be their first in-person look at Cade McNamara, who had been injured for the majority of the offseason and through the summer. So they got a chance to look at McNamara, look at Brendan Sullivan, watch Tim Lester call plays for them. The offense looked bad on that day in front of the Iowa fan base. There's been a lot of concern in the weeks since then. But seeing this half, certainly not the first half, but seeing this second half of the game today, there are more than enough glimpses of what this offense has the potential to become. And a point that Kirk Ferentz made to us, Mark, was that in that open scrimmage, as bad as the passing numbers were for Cade McNamara, there was a point in that scrimmage where he took off and ran, and the urgency, the confidence he took off and ran with showed that now there was confidence growing in the way he could move after that torn ACL.
The second down play that just occurred was a completed pass to Zach
Ineligible
Ortworth, but there's a
downfield.
marker down.
Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat, second down.
The uber experienced Connor Colby at right guard, 36 career starts. Ineligible downfield, negates the Ortworth first down reception. Would have been the second catch of the day. The first one, go find the highlight. It was a thing of beauty to end the third quarter for 31 yards. But this Ortworth catch here negated by the penalty, and the ball back to the 33 for a second down and 9. Big turnover day, big sack day, excellent third down defense day for Iowa, and a little razzle-dazzle here, and a chance to run the ball off the left side for Jacob Gill. All of the touchdowns have been in the second half. It was 6-0 at halftime, and then first Reese Vanderzee sliding to make the catch. How about this pass to Jacob Gill?
McNamara off his back foot between multiple defenders. No reason to throw it. Unbelievable to catch it. One of the highlights of the day for the Hawkeyes. Reese Vanderzee, 4 receptions, 61 yards, 2 tutties. Jacob Gill adding to the mix, 3 grabs, 46 yards at his own tug.
Yeah, combined 7 for 107 for the 2 starters at wide receiver. And Reese Vanderzee adds a little bit more. Vanderzee with the catch. Got bumped out of bounds. And it will be a first down at the 22 of Illinois State. By the way, 4 sacks today. We're talking about all the things the Hawkeye defense has done. 4 sacks. Illinois State, Tony Peterson, that's an offense that loves to get the ball out quickly. They only allowed 7 sacks last year, second fewest in FCS, but obviously just a whole different challenge for them today. And 4 sacks, including one on the last drive. Run here by Caleb Johnson inside the 20-yard line. We welcome those of you who have been watching Purdue and their big opening game win over the Indiana State Sycamores, 49-0. Great to have you with us here on Big Ten Network. Mark Followell, Anthony Herron in his coverage of 25th ranked Iowa against Illinois State. Melanie Ricks joins us on the sideline. And Iowa had a 6-0 lead with 2 field goals in the first half, but Cade McNamara, along with receivers Reese Vanderzee and Jacob Gill, have been brilliant in the second half, and so is running back Caleb Johnson, who has his second touchdown in half number 2. With 5:48 to go, Caleb Johnson has run for 64 and now for 18 on touchdown runs here in the final quarter of the game.
Most talented running back Iowa has access to is Caleb Johnson. He's been banged up at times throughout his career, but when he is healthy, he's as good a difference maker as Iowa has access to. And this offensive line imposing their will on the game. Illinois State did a really nice job in the first half, holding up against blocks, especially with their linebackers, their DBs coming up and filling these run lanes.
And a combo of strength and balance there at the end to stay upright and in bounds. And 40. That has got to be a nice sound to anyone watching the game back at home, including if Coach Ferentz is watching back home right now, which we understood he was going to do with his wife, Mary. 40 points today for Iowa, and they lead it with 5:48 to go. Football on the Big Ten Network is sponsored by State Farm and by Auto Owners Insurance. We'll look at that paper from late 1998 after the conclusion of the 98 season. Ferentz to follow Fry. I like all of the alliteration with how that worked out, by the way, but that was the newspaper headline leading into the hiring of Kirk Ferentz to replace the legendary Hayden Fry. And this 197th win will, of course, be on the ledger of Coach Kirk Ferentz, despite the suspension today. Here's the kickoff return for Illinois State. University imposed one-game suspension related to an NCAA recruiting violation late 2022, contact with a player and family, Kate McNamara, before entering the transfer portal. Ferentz said 9 days ago, I tell my players to abide by the rules. In this case, I didn't. I apologize to the players, the university, and Hawkeye fans.
Certainly a more than respectable way to handle it for Kirk Ferentz to sort of take the blame for the infraction that's there. Maybe there's a little bit of a gray area there, but in the end, it's on him. He's the one who leads this program. So he's not able to be with his team for the first time in the illustrious career that he's had as the head coach of Hawkeye football. I think back to that time in 1999, Mark. I mean, there was a meeting that at the time Bob Bowlesby was the athletic director. There's a lot of conjecture about who might be the next coach of Iowa football. Hayden Fry had an illustrious coaching career and assistants on his tree. There's a lot of rumors about a variety of guys. Some assumptions about who might get that gig.
Couple of running plays here for Seth Glatz for the Redbirds.
And some of the players who were going to be returning starters, myself, Matt Bowen, Aaron Campbell, there was a few of us who were able to meet with the athletic director, Bob Bowlesby, and just kind of give him an idea of what we thought would make sense. Not exactly an exact name, but just where we thought the program was in that final season for the late, great Hayden Fry, and what we thought as players would make sense for the mentality, the demeanor of the coach that would lead us into the future.
This is Beckham Pellant into the game. Freshman quarterback and throwing and completing that for a first down.
Admittedly, I didn't know a thing about Kirk Ferentz, so he wasn't the name that would have been on the tip of my tongue if Bob Bowlesby would have asked me who he should hire as the next head coach. He did not ask me that as an 18-year-old kid at that point, so it probably made sense that he didn't ask me that. But it at least felt good to feel like at that time that our voices were being heard, that the future of Iowa football was being shaped at that moment, but at least have some feedback from what some of the current players at that time would be looking for. And I don't know if anyone could have anticipated that here, 26 years later, Kirk Ferentz would still be leading Iowa football.
I asked Kirk yesterday about his comments, and just how stand-up he's been about the suspension. And if there was kind of like, using it as a teaching moment. I mean, football coaches ultimately, you're trying to improve football technique, but you're making young men and you're teaching them. They said, a big part of our job is being teachers. We're coaches, we're parents, we're role models. You try to do the right thing. In this case, I didn't. You own up to it, you correct it, and you move on and you don't do it again. I love his approach to it.
Certainly the style of leadership that speaks to me. I've been able to talk about it on Big Ten Radio a decent bit since the announcement was made. And, no one knows for sure if that's the period on the end of the sentence, but the hope for the Iowa Athletic Department is certainly that them self-imposing this one-game suspension on Kirk Ferentz for the infraction is where the NCAA will leave it from this point forward.
Well, Anthony, I wanted you to know this. Of course, he replaced Hayden Fry. So today with Seth Wallace as the acting coach, it's the first time since 1978 that it hasn't been Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz on the field as head coach. The last game was November 25th, 1978 against Michigan State. That's over 16,700 days, or put another way, 303 days before you were born. The last time that it wasn't Hayden Fry or Kirk Ferentz on the field, on the sidelines as the head coach for Iowa football.
That continuity and stability is a big part of the reason this program has had so much success over the decades.
And I've always felt kind of like a unique connection to Iowa. Hayden Fry came from my alma mater, North Texas, then North Texas State, and had a tremendously successful stretch of time in the mid-'70s before he came here to Iowa. And obviously, as Kirk said yesterday, that magical season of 1981 is kind of where it all started. But we could go down memory lane for a long time, but there is a 2-minute timeout now with Iowa leading 40-0. The new two-minute timeout in college football, the one here in the second half with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And from 6-0 at halftime, Iowa's eruption for 34 points in the second half marks their most second half points since a game in November of 2017 against Nebraska. The end of Mike Riley's time there. Went on Black Friday in Lincoln. Oh, lost ball here by the freshman quarterback, Beckham Pellant. And it has been a day of a lot of turnovers, and there's one more to end it. That is Caden Crawford, sophomore from Lansing, Kansas, with the fumble recovery.
Iowa's ball, 1st and 10.
Much experience as returns on the Iowa defense.
Number 8 helmet came off
getting
on
the opportunity to get snaps in this game. It's a great thing for Phil Parker, who's also a bit banged up in the game today. There's a reason he's using his left arm and left hand to shake hands with, to greet those. You see the right arm in a sling right now. He actually got run over in practice just a few weeks ago. Ran into by a defensive back. He had surgery on that right arm shortly thereafter.
Here's the Brendan Sullivan debut, and gives the ball to Terrell Washington Jr. Running back has switched to play wide receiver, but he can do those sorts of things lined up as a wide receiver. Longest tenured coordinator in the Big Ten, and also winner of the Frank Broyles Award as the best assistant coach in college football, and the American Football Coaches Association Assistant Coach of the Year award last year as well.
Well, this is his 13th season as a defensive coordinator. He's been on staff here in the 26 years, that entire time that Kirk Ferentz has taken over Iowa football. There may have been an old defender or two who tried to convince Phil Parker to go up into the broadcast booth, come up on the press level, just to keep him safe.
And a running play here for Max White. Max White did have one touchdown last year in the 3 carries that he had, the junior from Cedar Rapids. And he broke that one free for a first down to the Illinois State 14.
No surprise, Phil Parker has not been trying to hear that from anyone, that he should stay out of harm's way, that he should not be down on the field with the potential for folks to run into him again.
You know, he said it was 6 weeks he's supposed to be in a sling, but that's for normal people.
That's for normal people.
He's got some powers of recuperation and some powers of coaching defense.
Yeah, or stubbornness. Powers of recuperation / stubbornness.
Yeah, I so enjoyed, I mean, the conversations were great yesterday with Kirk and Seth Wallace and Tim Lester, Phil Parker. We had a lot of good chats yesterday. And this game, you know, one of the things that the coach has stressed, you're nervous about an opener. It's big unknown. Going to learn a lot in this first game, and it took a while to get things pointed in the right direction. But it's going to be a shutout win for Iowa. The last one was last November against Rutgers, and they got another one here against Illinois State, who has better days to come with a good team in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. But the Hawkeyes win this one today as the final seconds tick off a 40-0 victory.
The Redbirds will still show themselves as one of the best teams in the MVC as they move forward with their season. Really game for a half of football here, but weren't able to withstand the experience, the depth, the talent of the Iowa Hawkeyes, who will be right in the thick of the Big Ten championship race. Opportunity for a really strong start to the season. First 3 games at home for the Hawkeyes. The Cyclones will be coming here to Kinnick next week. Kirk Ferentz will be back on the sidelines for Iowa at that point. I have a sense for how difficult this may have been for Kirk Ferentz to sit at home watching this game, but his team did him proud.
189 yards today for Illinois State, so 29 straight games Iowa's held the opponent under 400 yards. A shutout today, and Melanie Ricks with Seth Wallace with more on this shutout win.
First off, Coach, congratulations on the win. It's a shutout win. What did this one mean for you and your team to start the season?
Well, Melanie, and I appreciate it. Like, it's, you know, this was a game of just, you know, sticking to the plan and just, you know, believing in our people, believing in what we do. And, you know, I think we did that today. I think that showed certainly in the second half. And, you know, just really proud of the staff, really proud of the players. The way they've handled all of this is, you know, really a testament to them. And, you know, they need to enjoy this.
Well, and speaking of the second half, what did you say to your team to really get those guys going in the second?
Yeah, I just told them that, you know, we need to pick up the pace a little bit. Our urgency needs to improve. And, you know, the guys, you know, they clearly responded. You know, I'm glad that we deferred because we had the ball there in the second half, and they took it down the field. And it was, you know, that was what we were trying to do most of the game.
And we know that Coach Ferentz is watching at home. Any message for him?
You know, I think he'd just be proud that we stuck to the plan.
Absolutely. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Thanks, Melanie.
You know, Seth Wallace told us yesterday, this is the best place to work in college football with the best people. He's from Grinnell, Iowa, and you could see emotionally what that meant. Really, really special day for him and for Iowa as we wrap it up here from Iowa City. More Big Ten football comes your way at 3:30. Next, it's a Big Ten game break for Anthony Herron, Melanie Ricks, and the whole crew in Iowa City, Iowa. I'm Mark Followell. Let's send it to our Chicago studios for a Big Ten game break.
Here with Aaron Graves. After a great start to your season, you guys got the win, and your D-line held them scoreless. What is it about this defense that make you guys so elite?
Yeah, I think we've just always had a standard that's very high, and you know, going off of years prior, the work that's been put in, I think there's just something about this group that's just tenacious, and like we just love to get after it and hold people to 0 points like we did tonight.
How do you build upon this moving forward?
Yeah, I think just putting in the work week after week, you know, not getting complacent, you know, not letting big wins like this get to our head and think we're too good to work. So it's just showing up Monday, showing up tomorrow, watch the film, and get better, ready for the next opponent.
Thanks, Aaron. Congrats.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. Cade, what a great game for you today. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. What was it about today that really got you going?
I think, honestly, just getting into the groove again. You know, we had a little bit of a slow start, but we really picked up our tempo in the second half, and I think, you know, once the O-line, you know, they really found their groove, and it kind of opened everything up for the rest of us.
Well, and I asked Coach Wallace, what was it that he said to you guys to get you going in the second half? Was there a message that you had to your team?
I think it was just we saw that we missed some opportunities, and we weren't making them pay for it, so we made it an effort that we were going to take advantage of those opportunities in the second half.
Well, and something else you said was you feel 100% healthy, and it's the healthiest you felt in 2 years. Do you still feel that way after your first game here this season? And how do you feel about your team for the rest of the season after this win?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I felt really good. I ran a little bit more than I was expecting, but, you know, I felt really good. My body feels good, and I think, you know, the longer that, not just me, but, you know, the rest of these guys, we can stay healthy, I think, you know, that's going to give us a really good chance in the long run.
Thanks, Cade. Congrats.
Thank you.